Chapter 32:49. By the fretless fruit, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed slightly as he listened to the women's words. He began to ponder silently. He was well aware of the fretless fruit's effects. These women were going to buy the fretless fruit because someone in the sacred clan of Sky, profound heaven, wanted to use it to erase part of their memories. While Mo Qingyun was lost in thought, the women continued chatting on the side. I heard that the purpose of the fretless fruit this time around seems to be for Ling Long. It is indeed for Ling Long. Ling Long can't forget what happened in the lower realm, causing her cultivation to stagnate. With Ling Long's personality, even if they buy the fretless fruit, she probably won't use it, right? I don't know about that. The elders should have a way. The girls' conversation entered Mo Qingyun's ears without missing a single word. Hearing their words, Mo Qingyun's heart shook, and he emitted a cold aura. According to the women's words, they seemed to be going to buy the fretless fruit for Qian Ling Long. More importantly, they were going to give it to Qian Ling Long when she was unwilling to use it. Sensing Mo Qingyun's cold aura, the women's expressions trembled as they stared at Mo Qingyun with wide eyes. While they were surprised, they were also puzzled. They didn't understand why Mo Qingyun would suddenly become angry. It was as if someone had touched his reverse scale. Under the women's surprised gazes, Mo Qingyun slowly withdrew his aura and ignored their reactions. Seeing Mo Qingyun withdraw his aura, the women began to look at each other, but they didn't ask Mo Qingyun anything. However, the way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed greatly. In their eyes, Mo Qingyun was a complete weirdo. I can't let them buy the fretless fruit. I have to stop them. At this moment, Mo Qingyun immediately made a decision. If I want to stop them from buying the fretless fruit, it won't work even if I kill them. Someone else will come. Unless the Carefree Valley's Valley Master refuses to sell any carefree fruits. As Mo Qingyun thought about this, he started to consider whether he should make a trip to the Carefree Valley. After a brief moment of hesitation, Mo Qingyun made up his mind. He had to make a trip to Carefree Valley as soon as possible. Given his relationship with the Carefree Valley Master, he should have a high chance of success if he were to ask for his help. Aolai, let's go. Having made his decision, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He got up and walked out of the inn. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the people sitting at the surrounding tables were all shocked. What's up with that kid? How dare you ignore the beauty of the profound Heaven Holy clan? Don't tell me that kid has some weird fetish and isn't interested in women. Looking at his delicate features, it's hard to say if he likes men. Everyone was talking at once as they made wild guesses. Hearing the whispers of the crowd, the women of the Kong profound Heaven Saint clan were even more surprised. I didn't expect him to have that kind of fetish. No wonder his attitude towards us was so bad. The girl who had been rejected by Mo Qingyun immediately voiced her thoughts when she heard the people around her. Kong Xianyue glared at the girl and said, "Xianyue, don't speak nonsense." Kong Xianyue reprimanded her. Kong Xianyue smiled and said, "Even if he doesn't have that kind of fetish, he's definitely a strange person." Kong Xianyue and the other women nodded at Kong Xuanyue's words. They also felt the same way. If Mo Qingyun knew what the people in the inn were thinking, he would be depressed. He would never have thought that he would have such an image in the minds of the people in the inn. After coming out of the inn, Mo Qingyun took out the shadow word flying ship and returned to the sea of the divine domain. Soon, Mo Qingyun left Donglai City and rushed towards Dongyang City. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion. Let me know when you reach the Sky Demon Divine Domain. After instructing A.O. Lai, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much about it and went into the cabin to cultivate. A.O. Lai controlled the shadow word flying ship and rushed towards the sea of the divine domain to the Sky Demon Divine Domain. About 2 hours later, a huge flying ship brushed past the shadow word flying ship. If Mo Qingyun was on the sampan, he would definitely recognize the person on the flying ship. It was God King Xing He who had chased after him. God King Xing He's expression changed slightly when he saw the shadow's word flying ship. He said in surprise, "Hey, this flying ship looks familiar, but I can't remember where I've seen it before." Guan Peng said impatiently, "Don't worry about that flying ship. The Donglai City branch just sent news that the kid has appeared in Donglai City. Let's hurry over. Once bitten, twice shy, Guan Peng was a little afraid now that Mo Qingyun had destroyed the Donglai City branch. Wang Guoqiong nodded when she heard Guan Peng's words. She was thinking the same thing. Mo Qingyun was too cunning. If it didn't capture him, they wouldn't be at ease. Thinking about what had happened in Donyang City, the three of them tensed up. They controlled the flying ship at full speed. Outside Donglai City, a sky god-grade flying ship stopped, and a group of people walked out. Among this group of people, a beautiful young lady looked at Donglai City in front of her and said, "This is the largest city in the Donglai archipelago. If we go there and ask around, we should be able to find out where young Master Mo is." Hearing the young girl's question, a middle-aged man beside her frowned deeply. He said, "Miss Jiang, my master and I can sense that he is not in any danger right now. There's no need for us to investigate his whereabouts. If we try to find out his whereabouts, we'll be exposed. If we encounter danger, our master will be in a passive position." Jiang Xingfeng nodded and said, "And Chun is right. We don't need to gather too many people to find out Mr. Mo's whereabouts. Let's wait until we reach the madman's sect. Given Mr. Mo's intelligence, if he can't find us on the way, he'll definitely go to the madman's sect." After hearing In Chun and Jiang Xingfeng's words, Jiang Yunxi nodded and accepted their suggestion. Then they walked into the city. When they entered the city gate, they met a group of beautiful girls. Holy Clan of Kong, Xian Heaven. Holy Clan of Diablo Heaven. When In Chun saw the other party, and when the other party saw In Chun, they were both surprised. However, since both parties had their own matters to attend to, they didn't communicate. In Chun retracted his gaze and walked into an inn with Jiang Yunxi and the others. Coincidentally, the inn that In Chun and the others entered was the one that Mo Qingyun went to. When they entered the inn, they chose a room and ordered some food and wine. When everything was ready, In Chun and the others sat down and waited for the food and wine. They listened to the conversations around them. Hearing these people's conversations, In Chun's expression changed. He became interested in what the people around him were saying. Chapter 3250. The Divine Venerate Inheritance of the Diablo Sacred Clan. In Chun was shocked when he heard what the people around him were saying. His interest was immediately piqued. Although his cultivation speed wasn't slow, he still wouldn't be able to keep up with Mo Qingyun's footsteps if he didn't have any opportunities. Based on the current situation, it wouldn't be long before he would be left behind by Mo Qingyun. If I get this inheritance, my strength will definitely increase rapidly. With this thought in mind, In Chun focused his attention and listened to the words of these people. Jiang Xingfeng and the others were stunned when they saw In Chun's reaction. They quickly guessed his thoughts. Then, Jiang Xingfeng said, "Brother In Chun, if you're interested in the demonic sect's divine venerate inheritance, you can ignore us and focus on getting the inheritance. When you have obtained the inheritance, you can come to the madman's sect to look for us. If young Master Mo reaches the madman's sect first, we will tell him everything about you. In that case, thank you very much." And Shen nodded when he heard Jiang Xingfeng's words. He had made a decision. After chatting with Jiang Xingfeng and the others for a while, and Chen parted ways with them and headed to the demonic sect's divine venerate inheritance. Jiang Xingfeng's expression dimmed as he watched In Chen's departing figure. It's indeed difficult for powerhouses and ordinary people to walk the same path. Even if there are some interactions, it's ultimately difficult for them to walk the same path. Jiang Xingfeng's words made Jiang Yunxi feel conflicted. Her beautiful eyes were tightly knitted. Although Jiang Xingfeng's words weren't meant for her to hear, the meaning behind his words was very clear. She had a good impression of Mo Qingyun, but given the gap between her and Mo Qingyun, it would be very difficult for them to walk the same path. For example, because of some small, unforeseen circumstances, they had no choice but to part ways. While Jiang Xingfeng and the others were eating, Xing He and the others arrived in Donglai City. When the three of them arrived in Donglai City, they went straight to the Heaven Killer Guild's branch to ask about Mo Qingyun's situation. inside the Heaven Killer Guild's branch, reporting to Chief not long ago that Brat left Donglai City. In the meeting hall of the Heaven Slayer Association, an old man in his 50s reported to Guan Peng respectfully. After he left Donglai City, we followed him for a while. He left in the direction of East Sun Island. According to our guess, he might be planning to cross the Sea of Boundaries and enter the Sky Demon Divine Realm. Hearing this person's words, Wang Guiqiong's old face trembled, and a strong sense of unease arose. He couldn't help but worry that Mo Qingyun had gone to the Sky Demon Divine region to take revenge on the Cold Moon Demon Palace. No, I have to rush back immediately, in case that Brat goes to Cold Moon Devil Palace to cause trouble. Thinking about what had happened to the East Sun Island branch of the Killer Association, Wang Guiqiong did not want to waste any more time. She immediately got up and walked out of the palace. Seeing Wang Guiqiong's actions, Xing He's expression tensed up and wanted to rush back with him. Seeing Wang Guiqiong and Xing He's reaction, Guan Peng hesitated before saying, "I'll go with the two of you. This brat destroyed the Heaven Slayer Association's branch. I definitely won't let him off." Wang Guiqiong and Xing He agreed to Guan Peng's request without hesitation and prepared to rush back with him. Guan Peng was a mid-god king powerhouse. If they had his help, it would be extremely useful. Seeing that Wang Guiqiong had agreed, Guan Peng thought for a moment before saying to the old man in the palace, "During this period of observation, I discovered that the brat's speed seems to be slightly faster than ours. If that's the case, the flying boat he's piloting should be at the godly king level. Do you know what his flying boat looks like?" Wang Guiqiong was stunned when she heard Guan Peng's words, but she quickly nodded in agreement. They would follow Mo Qingyun's route and return to the Sky Demon Divine region. Perhaps they would run into Mo Qingyun along the way. If they did not know that Mo Qingyun's flying boat had brushed past them, it would have been a great loss. Under Guan Peng and the other two's gazes, the old man responded and projected an image. Soon, the image of a huge flying boat appeared before everyone's eyes. It's actually that flying boat. No wonder I found that flying boat so familiar when I saw it earlier. He's lucky to have slipped away before our eyes. If that's the case, let's not waste any more time and chase after him immediately. Wang Guiqiong and the other two were enraged when they saw the scene before them. They immediately left the Heaven Slayer Association's branch. Mo Qingyun was completely unaware of Wang Guiqiong and the other two's pursuit. He was completely immersed in cultivation. Time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. After a few days of traveling, Ao Lai controlled the flying boat and entered the Sea of Boundaries in the Divine Territory. Compared to traveling on the surface of the Sea of Boundaries in the Divine Territory, it was much easier for Ao Lai to control the flying boat to travel in the sea. Not long after Ao Lai controlled the Shadow Sword flying boat and entered the Sea of Boundaries in the Divine Territory, Guan Peng and the others rushed over. After a simple inquiry, Guan Peng learned that the Shadow Sword flying boat had entered the sea. His face turned ashen as he said angrily, "What a cunning brat. He actually entered the sea to travel and avoid our pursuit." At this moment, Guan Peng truly understood why Wang Guiqiong and Xing He said that Mo Qingyun was very difficult to deal with. Mo Qingyun was too cunning, and his vigilance was too high. From Mo Qingyun's behavior, he seemed to have an instinctive premonition of the arrival of danger. "We'll definitely be attacked by the underwater demon tribe when we enter the Sea of Boundaries in the Divine Territory. What do we do now?" Seeing this situation, Guan Peng's expression tensed as he asked Wang Guiqiong and Xing He for their thoughts. Hearing Guan Peng's question, Wang Guiqiong pondered for a while and said, "Even if that brat is traveling in the sea, he'll definitely leave the Sea of Boundaries in the Divine Territory and enter the Sky Demon Divine Territory. We'll return to the Sky Demon Divine Territory directly and send more people to search for him. We'll wait for him to come." Guan Peng and Xing He immediately agreed with Wang Guiqiong's suggestion. Then, the three of them controlled the flying boat and rushed toward the Sky Demon Divine Territory. With Xing He and the other two's God King cultivation, The speed of the flying boat on the sea surface was much faster than in the sea. About 10 days later, at full speed, the three of them reached the center of the Sea of Boundaries in the Divine Territory and crossed half of the Sea of Boundaries. At this moment, as the three of them continued on their way, a shocking aura slowly approached. What a powerful aura. It's a quasi-god emperor expert, not a quasi-god emperor. It should be a half-step god emperor. It's him. Isn't he dead? Seeing the figure in the distance, Guan Peng and the other two were shocked. In particular, Xing He's expression was the most shocked. This was because the half-step god emperor flying in the air in front of them was the soul caller expert from the auction house. Seeing Xing He's reaction, Guan Peng and Xing He turned to look at him curiously. Chapter 32:51. Brother Xing He, do you know him? Seeing Xing He's reaction, Guan Peng was curious and quickly asked. Top point X23 US. Upon hearing Guan Peng's question, Xing He looked at Wang Guiqiong and said, previously, at an auction house in Nine Evil City, this person was clearly dead but was put up for auction. Young Palace Master Wan Qinshi and Mo Qingyun fought over it and successfully won the auction. How did this person come back to life? This is really strange. Wang Guiqiong and Guan Peng's expressions immediately tensed up when they heard Xing He's explanation. Right now, the hearts of the three of them were filled with intense confusion. It was indeed strange that a dead person had suddenly come back to life. Xing He frowned and said, could this person's resurrection have something to do with Mo Qingyun? If Mo Qingyun saved him, Mo Qingyun could be considered his benefactor. He should have appeared to help Mo Qingyun. Guan Peng was stunned when he heard Xing He's analysis. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, if that's the case, the destruction of the East Sun Island branch must have been caused by this person. Wang Guiqiong nodded in agreement after hearing Guan Peng's words. Given his quasi-god emperor cultivation, it shouldn't be difficult for him to destroy the East Sun Island branch. Wang Guiqiong's expression tensed up when she said this. She was worried and unwilling to accept this outcome. If it was really as they had guessed, it wouldn't be easy for them to kill Mo Qingyun with the protection of a quasi-god emperor powerhouse. Xing He's expression tensed as he looked at the spirit summoner race patriarch. He turned to Wang Guiqiong and Guan Peng and said, what do we do now? Should we join forces to kill this person before thinking of a way to deal with Mo Qingyun? Wang Guiqiong shook her head and said, he's too strong. Even if the three of us work together, we're not his match. While Xing He and Guan Peng were talking, Guan Peng said in surprise, something's not right. If Mo Qingyun is escorted by this person, he won't need to worry about anything if he wants to cross the Sea of Dividing Worlds. He can just cross the sea directly. But Mo Qingyun went to the bottom of the sea, and from the bottom of the sea, he passed through the Sea of Divine Domains. And from his performance just now, he seems to have come from the Sky Demon Divine Domain. Hearing Guan Peng say this, Xing He and Wang Guiqiong looked at each other and also noticed this detail. While they were talking, the ancestor of the soul summoner race flew closer and said coldly, everyone, have you seen a brat? He looks like. Then, the spirit tribe patriarch described Mo Qingyun's appearance to the three of them in detail, while Xing He watched in astonishment. After hearing the spirit summoner patriarch's question, Xing He and the others were stunned. They couldn't believe their ears. Judging from the spirit summoner patriarch's attitude, he seemed to be looking for trouble with Mo Qingyun, not helping him. How could this be? Xing He and the other two looked at each other, feeling a little confused. While the three of them were dumbfounded, they were secretly delighted. This was a good thing for them. Without the protection of the spirit summoner patriarch, it would be much easier for them to deal with Mo Qingyun. Senior, we're also looking for the brat you mentioned. Guan Peng thought for a while and said, why are you looking for him, Senior? Guan Peng didn't want to reveal his intentions before he knew what the spirit summoner patriarch wanted. The spirit summoner patriarch didn't answer Guan Peng's question. Instead, he said coldly, there's no need for me to tell you why I'm looking for him. The spirit summoner patriarch turned and left, hurrying toward the Sky Demon Divine Domain. The meaning of his actions was obvious. Guan Peng and the others didn't know Mo Qingyun's whereabouts, so there was no need for him to say anything more. Guan Peng and the others didn't care about the spirit summoner patriarch's attitude and looked away. Wang Guiqiong was silent for a moment and said, "From the looks of it, this person shouldn't be related to Mo Qingyun. If they are, they're definitely enemies." Xing He and the others nodded, agreeing with Wang Guiqiong's analysis. Having obtained such a result, the three of them relaxed and continued to operate the flying boat to hasten on their journey. Another 2 months passed. With Ailey's help, they left the Sea of Divine Realm's boundary and entered the Sky Monster Divine Realm. After leaving the Sea of Boundaries, A.O. Lai sent a voice transmission to Mo Qingyun. "Benefactor, we've arrived at the Sky Demon Divine Domain." Upon hearing A.O. Lai's voice transmission, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating. The number of nomological threads is still a little short. When Mo Qingyun sensed his own cultivation base, he had a clear understanding of the state of his cultivation base. Mo Qingyun walked out of the cabin and came to A.O. Lai's side. "I'll go on my own. I'll send you to a place." After instructing A.O. Lai, Mo Qingyun waved his hand and sent A.O. Lai to the Fortune mainland. A.O. Lai was a demonic beast from the Sea of Boundaries. If he appeared in the Sky Demon Divine Domain, there would be a lot of trouble. After all, he was neither a barbarian beast nor an intelligent beast. His identity was very awkward. After sending A.O. Lai away, Mo Qingyun took control of the flying boat and rushed towards the Carefree Valley. On the way, Mo Qingyun's brows were deeply furrowed with worry. Rushing through the Sea of Boundaries will take a long time. I wonder if the profound Heaven Holy Tribe's women are ahead of me. To prevent them from reaching the Carefree Valley ahead of time, I have to speed up. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun increased the flying boat's speed by a notch. To Mo Qingyun's surprise, his flying boat was intercepted before he could go far. "Brat, obediently wait for death. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." A group of people stopped Mo Qingyun. The leader of the group was a Heavenly God Realm expert, and he shouted at Mo Qingyun. Looking at these people in front of him, Mo Qingyun gave them a disdainful glance and said, "I'll give you all a chance. Disappear from my sight before I get angry." As Mo Qingyun's words fell, a strong killing intent surged out from his body. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the group of people sneered with disdain. Their faces were full of mockery. Then, without wasting any time, they attacked Mo Qingyun, courting death. Seeing these people's actions, Mo Qingyun summoned Gong Hanqing and ordered him to deal with them. With these people's strength, how could they be Gong Hanqing's opponent? In the blink of an eye, they were all killed. After dealing with the trouble in front of him, Mo Qingyun did not stop. He continued to control the flying boat. To his surprise, after a short while, he was stopped by another group of people. Seeing such a situation, Mo Qingyun began to overthink. He felt that something was wrong. Chapter 3252. The ambushes I encountered along the way should be related to the Cold Moon Demon Palace. Mo Qingyun thought about it for a moment before he understood why he had been ambushed one after another. After understanding the reason for the ambushes, Mo Qingyun did not think too much about it and did not take it too seriously. With the combat strength he controlled now, unless he encountered a God Emperor powerhouse chasing after him, there would not be too much trouble. Next, Mo Qingyun controlled the flying ship unhurriedly and headed towards Carefree Valley. As for the ambushes he encountered along the way, Mo Qingyun did not show mercy and dealt with them one by one. During this process, Mo Qingyun's harvest was also rather bountiful. He obtained quite a number of heaven crystals and cultivation resources. Mo Qingyun unknowingly started to have the number of heaven crystals in his possession close to 500 million. Seeing the rapid increase in cultivation resources, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and thought to himself, "In this way, I have to thank the Cold Moon Demon Palace for giving me gifts again and again. Unfortunately, I'm in a hurry to go to Carefree Valley. Otherwise, my harvest might be greater if I travel slower." Mo Qingyun sighed regretfully and increased the speed of the sword shadow flying ship a little more. However, no matter how fast Mo Qingyun increased the speed, the obstructions he encountered along the way also started to become more and more frequent. Mo Qingyun was not surprised by this situation. He knew the reason for this. Because he kept attacking along the way, his whereabouts were equivalent to being exposed. In this way, these people knew his whereabouts and could naturally underestimate his pursuit. 5 days passed very quickly. In these 5 days, Mo Qingyun didn't really remember how many people he had killed in his path. He only knew that in these 5 days, the number of heaven crystals in his possession had already broken through the 500 million mark. If this was in the past, he would find it very hard to believe that a person with heaven general cultivation could possess 500 million heaven crystals. At this moment, as Mo Qingyun was hurrying along, a terrifying aura enveloped him. Sensing this aura, Mo Qingyun's expression trembled, and he felt a strong sense of unease. Quasi-God Emperor. Mo Qingyun was secretly shocked. He looked towards the source of the aura and guessed that it had caught up. He said, "I didn't expect this guy to be so persistent. He actually chased me all the way here. Fine, I'll teach this guy a lesson so that he won't think that I'm a pushover." As Mo Qingyun thought of this, he stopped the shadow sword flying ship and waited for the arrival of the soul-caller race ancestor. Before long, Mo Qingyun watched as the spirit summoner ancestor appeared in front of him. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, a look of surprise appeared on the soul-caller ancestor's face, and he said, "Brat, you're quite bold. I've already caught up to you, yet you still dare to stay behind and throw your life away. However, with your cultivation, it's impossible for you to escape from me." Mo Qingyun smiled meaningfully when he heard the soul-caller ancestor's words. "Is that so? I don't think so. Didn't I leave the last time I was in front of you as well? I don't mind telling you that the reason I'm not leaving this time is because I want to settle a score with you." Mo Qingyun's words made the soul-caller ancestor's face turn ashen. He couldn't accept that a heavenly general brat was actually speaking to him in such a manner. The soul-caller ancestor's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. "Humph, I haven't seen you for a while, but your guts and glib tongue have become more and more formidable. In that case, let me see what you're relying on." As soon as the soul-caller ancestor finished speaking, his figure moved and flew towards Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't agree to the soul-caller ancestor's attack and immediately summoned the demon god to intercept him. Soon, several figures with powerful auras appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. "Kill." After summoning the demon gods, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate in the slightest and immediately ordered them to attack. Then, the figures of the ghost deities flashed and flew toward the soul-caller race's ancestor. 4 God King Realm Demon Gods. The soul-caller ancestor's expression froze when he saw the demon gods pouncing towards him. His eyes were filled with shock. He knew that Mo Qingyun must have some sort of trump card if he dared to face him head-on. He hadn't expected Mo Qingyun's trump card to be so powerful. For God King Realm Demon Gods were indeed enough to pose a threat to him and ensure Mo Qingyun's safety. After a brief moment of surprise, the soul-caller ancestor's expression darkened. "Kid, you do have some tricks up your sleeve. I admit that I've underestimated you. They're just 4 God King Realm Demon Gods, not true God King experts. They can only hold me back for a while. As for you, controlling 4 God King Realm Demon Gods in battle must consume a lot of your mental strength. Let's see how long you can last." The soul-caller ancestor wasn't in a hurry to attack Mo Qingyun after he finished speaking. He continued to fight the 4 demon gods at a leisurely pace. His current goal was simple. He wanted to wear down Mo Qingyun's mental strength bit by bit until it was completely exhausted. When that happened, it would be easy for him to take care of Mo Qingyun. Not only that, but the soul-caller ancestor's aura was also growing bit by bit as he fought Gong Hanqing and the others. From the looks of it, he seemed to be using the 4 demon gods to sharpen his blade and break through to the God Emperor realm. Sensing the increase in his cultivation base, The smile on the soul caller race's ancestor's face immediately widened. He said, "Brat, your ghostly deities are really good sparring partners. If they help this seat break through to the celestial arch realm, this seat will give you a quick death later." Hearing the soul caller ancestor's words and seeing his smug expression, Emo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain. "You seem to be celebrating too early. I dare to keep you here and challenge you to a fight. How about this be all I've got? If you want me to be your whetstone, we'll have to see if you have the ability." The sealed door. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he struck out with his palm and blasted out a mysterious door of light. The door of light moved extremely quickly and entered the soul caller ancestor's body in the blink of an eye. It began to seal his bloodline, divine power, and spirit. Then, the soul caller ancestor's aura began to weaken rapidly. In just a few moments, the soul caller ancestor's cultivation fell from the quasi-god emperor realm to the early god-king realm. Not only that, but his cultivation didn't stop falling. It continued to weaken. Seeing this situation, the soul caller race's ancestor immediately panicked. He was no longer as calm and collected as before. "Well, what kind of technique is this?" The soul caller ancestor cried out in shock. He immediately grew fearful and didn't dare to linger any longer. As his cultivation base fell, the strength he possessed also began to weaken at an extremely fast rate. If he didn't leave soon, he might very well die here. Chapter 32:53. Trying to escape? When Emo Qingyun saw the soul caller race's ancestor's reaction, he guessed what he was thinking and looked at him mockingly. Without waiting for the soul caller's ancestor to respond, Emo Qingyun's expression turned colder as he continued. "Your life was given to you by me. It's fine if you're not grateful to me, but you actually want to deal with me. An ungrateful person like you should never be reincarnated. Since helping you come back to life was a mistake, I'll take your life now." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he controlled Gong Hanqing and the other specters to attack the soul caller patriarch in a frenzy. Gong Hanqing and the other specters were dead and had no consciousness of their own. They acted according to Emo Qingyun's will. Therefore, when they attacked, they didn't fear death at all. Gong Hanqing and the other specters didn't fear death, but that didn't mean the soul caller patriarch was the same. Surrounded by Gong Hanqing and the other specters, the soul caller patriarch was in a perilous situation. He dodged left and right, not daring to meet them head-on. "If this continues, I'll be seriously injured and die before long." Seeing his predicament, the soul caller patriarch's expression tensed. He looked at Emo Qingyun and said, "I have to deal with that brat to resolve my crisis." With that thought, the soul caller patriarch's figure flashed, and he flew toward Emo Qingyun. His intention couldn't be more obvious. At this moment, the soul caller patriarch gave up on resisting the attacks of the specters. In his opinion, as long as he could take down Emo Qingyun, it didn't matter even if he had to suffer a serious injury. "You're courting death." Seeing the soul caller patriarch's actions, Emo Qingyun's lips curled into a disdainful sneer. At the same time, a great Tao origin with an astonishing aura appeared in Emo Qingyun's hand. "Destroy." Summoning the great Tao origin, Emo Qingyun activated it without the slightest hesitation. Then, a power comparable to a God King's attack blasted out from the great Tao origin. "No." Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, the soul caller race's ancestor's expression changed greatly. His eyes filled with unwillingness. He had just been resurrected not long ago and had yet to carry out his grand plans. He was unwilling to die like this. Boom, boom, boom. The origin of the great Tao struck the spirit-summoning tribe patriarch. An astonishing boom erupted as waves of terrifying power were generated. When this power erupted, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he quickly retreated into the distance. Emo Qingyun did not dare to be careless after using the origin of the great Tao to strike the soul caller ancestor. He stared ahead with a tense expression. As for Gong Hanqing and the other specters, they were also ordered by Emo Qingyun to guard the perimeter of the divine storm. Time slowly passed. As time passed, the imposing divine power storm began to dissipate bit by bit. Just as the divine power storm was about to dissipate, a figure flashed and escaped from the storm. Kill! Seeing that figure appear, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he issued an order to the specters. Receiving Mo Qingyun's order, Gong Hanqing and the other specters chased after the Soul-Caller race's ancestor in a flicker. Unfortunately, the Soul-Caller race's ancestor was a quasi-god emperor master. Although his cultivation was sealed, his strength was not something Gong Hanqing and the other specters could compare to. Now that he had used a secret technique to escape, it would be extremely difficult to chase him down. Brat, this lord will remember this debt. When this lord advances to the God Emperor realm, this lord will come back to settle the score with you. While the Soul-Caller race's ancestor was escaping, his angry words came from afar. Hearing the Soul-Caller race's ancestor's words, Mo Qingyun was not afraid. He snorted lightly and said, "Count yourself lucky this time. If I meet you again, I'll definitely kill you and suck your blood dry." Mo Qingyun's words fell, and he retrieved Gong Hanqing and the other specters, sending them to the Fortune mainland. After dealing with the Soul-Caller race's ancestor, Mo Qingyun did not stop. He continued to fly the Shadow Sword flying ship. Along the way, Mo Qingyun encountered a lot of trouble, but he easily dealt with them. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that Wang Guiqiong and the others did not appear. He wondered what they were doing. At least they are tactful and did not come to throw away their lives. Now that he was about to return to the barbarian demon's divine continent, and he did not see Wang Guiqiong and the others, Mo Qingyun thought to himself, "Time is of the essence. I must hurry to the Carefree Valley. When I come out from there, I'll slowly settle the score with him." While Mo Qingyun was thinking, he entered the barbarian demon's divine continent's territory. After entering the barbarian demon's divine continent, the pursuit stopped, and the journey became much smoother. However, Mo Qingyun did not let down his guard. Instead, he became even more cautious. The barbarian demons and wisdom demons were constantly fighting each other. He could be considered a member of the wisdom demon branch, and it was easy for him to attract the barbarian demon's hostility. Sometimes, the more you worry about something, the more likely it is to happen. When Mo Qingyun was carefully dodging, he still attracted the attention of a group of barbarian demons, and they blocked his path. What surprised Mo Qingyun even more was that the barbarian demons blocking his path were actually old acquaintances. It's actually him. So this big dog actually ran into the barbarian demon's divine continent's hinterland. Looking at the familiar figure in the group of barbarian demons, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock. Previously, when he was in the spatial crack, he wanted to find trouble with the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard, but the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard disappeared. This result made Mo Qingyun a little disappointed, but he soon forgot about it. He did not expect to meet it here after a period of time. From the looks of it, it seems to be doing well. Looking at the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock. He curiously sized it up and said in bewilderment, This fellow's cultivation has actually broken through to the heavenly deity realm. Its cultivation speed is pretty fast. If I'm not wrong, it should have encountered a fortuitous encounter during this period of time. When Mo Qingyun was sizing up the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard, the other party was also sizing him up. Its eyes were also filled with shock. When it first met Mo Qingyun was only in the heavenly soldier realm. Now, less than a year had passed, but Mo Qingyun's cultivation was close to the great deity realm. Such cultivation speed was much faster than the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard. Roar! After sizing up Mo Qingyun, the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard did not say anything and ordered its underlings to attack. It was true that when enemies met, their eyes would turn red. This silly dog. Looking at the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard's action, Mo Qingyun chuckled. He did not panic or fear at all. At this moment, his gaze towards the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard was filled with intense ridicule and mockery. "I'll play with you." As soon as Mo Qingyun's words fell, his figure flashed and rushed towards the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard's underlings. The dragon claw, fierce sun leopard's underlings were all in the great deity realm. He could use them as practice. He had just cultivated a few superpowers and had never had the chance to combine them. At this moment, the dragon claw, fierce sun leopard was the best sparring partner. Chapter 3254. Divine Thunder Dragon Wave. When Mo Qingyun arrived in front of the monsters, he didn't hesitate at all and directly used his divine ability. A violent lightning energy exploded from Mo Qingyun's body and turned into a giant crimson lightning dragon shadow. Once the blood lightning dragon shadow was formed, it charged towards the demons and began to fight them. Bang! 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 Under the impact of the crimson lightning dragon shadow, the great god realm beasts were knocked to the ground. Seeing this scene, the dragon claw, fierce sun leopard at the back opened its eyes wide, somewhat unable to believe this result. It had only been a short while, and Mo Qingyun's strength was already on par with him. No, to be exact, Mo Qingyun's current strength might be slightly stronger than him. It was difficult for him to defeat a group of great god realm experts with just one move. As expected of a heavenly god superpower, it's much stronger than the tyrant dragon sky shattering fist. Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised when he saw the power of his move. He became a little excited. He was very satisfied with the power of the divine thunder dragon wave. After sending the great god realm beast flying, Mo Qingyun turned to look at the dragon claw scorching sun leopard and said, "Big dog, don't just stand there. Come and spar with me." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the dragon claw scorching sun leopard roared and rushed towards Mo Qingyun. Although it was a little flustered for the sake of its reputation, it couldn't turn around and run away. In the past, Mo Qingyun didn't have the confidence to face it. Even though it was intimidated and didn't dare to attack Mo Qingyun, it was because of the great Tao origin. However, it was different now. Mo Qingyun's strength was enough to make him feel threatened. Roar! The dragon-clawed, scorching sun leopard roared. Its figure flashed and pounced on Mo Qingyun. Seeing the dragon claw fierce sun leopard attacking, Mo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He took the initiative to meet it. In order to test his own strength, Mo Qingyun didn't use any divine ability in the beginning. Instead, he faced the dragon claw ardent sun leopard head-on. In a direct confrontation with Mo Qingyun, he was at a disadvantage and was vaguely suppressed by the dragon claw fierce sun leopard. After obtaining this result, Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of his own strength. If I don't use any tricks, my strength should be close to a sky celestial grade powerhouses. If that's the case, then I'll use my divine ability and see what level I can reach. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately used his body to fight. Divine Thunder Dragon Transformation Wave. Soon, a terrifying wave of divine power erupted from Mo Qingyun's body. When this divine power burst out, it turned into a huge blood lightning dragon shadow and pounced toward the dragon claw blazing sun leopard. Bang, bang, bang. Shortly after, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard and the blood lightning dragon shadow clashed. The battle was earth-shattering, and loud noises were unceasing. Judging from the current situation, it would be hard to tell who was stronger in a short period of time. However, if the battle went on for a long time, the blood lightning dragon shadow could still win. Let's try the power of the dark demon dragon's sky-devouring roar. Seeing the power of the divine thunder dragon transformation wave, Mo Qingyun was filled with anticipation. He then used the dark demon dragon's sky-devouring roar. Shortly after, an even more majestic divine power condensed outside of Mo Qingyun's body. Soon, a huge black dragon shadow shrouded Mo Qingyun. Roar! When a huge black dragon shadow was formed, it let out an earth-shattering roar and a terrifying sound wave. Facing the impact of the sound wave, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard's body clearly trembled. Shortly after, its attack also paused, and its consciousness went into a momentary trance. Bang! As the dragon claw blazing sun leopard's body paused, The blood-lightning dragon shadow's dragon claw domineeringly struck its body. After being struck by the blood-lightning dragon shadow's claw, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard was immediately sent flying and fell heavily on ground. Shortly after, it looked at Mo Qingyun with a strong sense of shock. Seeing the power of the dark demon dragon's sky-devouring roar, Mo Qingyun's expression was filled with joy. He revealed a satisfied expression on his face and thought to himself, the dark demon dragon's sky-devouring roar is a sound wave attack. Although it can't be used in a head-on confrontation, it's not bad to catch the opponent off guard. After attacking twice in a row, Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of the power of the two superpowers. Currently, he wasn't very familiar with the two superpowers. There was still a lot of room for improvement. When he was more familiar with the two superpowers, the power of the two superpowers would also become stronger. While Mo Qingyun was pondering, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard looked at him with fear and carefully retreated. Seeing the dragon claw blazing sun leopard's actions, the corner of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly. He said, "It's not convenient for me to move around in the barbarian demon tribe. It's better that I lack a guide. You can guide me without worry." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure moved and chased after the dragon claw blazing sun leopard. Mo Qingyun's current flying speed was even faster than a godly king expert. How could the dragon claw blazing sun leopard compare to him? Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times before he caught up to the dragon claw blazing sun leopard and blocked its path. Roar! Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard was immediately enraged and roared at Mo Qingyun. However, Mo Qingyun didn't care about its roar at all. He directly summoned the specter god, Yang Guolong. Yang Guolong was a mid-godly king expert when he was alive. When he was summoned, he released a terrifying aura. Woo! Under the envelopment of Yang Guolong's aura, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard immediately cowered and laid on the ground like a dog. Seeing the dragon claw blazing sun leopard's actions, Mo Qingyun revealed a satisfied smile. The dragon claw blazing sun leopard was tactful and saved him a lot of trouble. Let's go. Mo Qingyun didn't waste time talking nonsense. After instructing the dragon claw blazing sun leopard, he returned to the shadow sword-flying ship. Due to the specter god, Yang Guolong's strength, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard obediently listened to him, even though it was unwilling. Shortly after, it reluctantly looked around before boarding the shadow sword-flying ship. Let's go to the Jade Lake Divine Prefecture. Seeing the dragon claw blazing sun leopard board, Mo Qingyun took out a map and threw it in front of it. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard was unwilling to give up and began to control the flying ship. Seeing the dragon claw blazing sun leopard's actions, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled and said, "You've chased me so many times before. This time, you're not willing to be my guide? If that's the case, I'll kill you and get a demon to be your guide. How about that?" After Mo Qingyun's threat, the dragon claw blazing sun leopard immediately cowered and shivered in fear. The dragon claw blazing sun leopard's actions made Mo Qingyun chuckle and nod his head in satisfaction. The more scared the dragon claw blazing sun leopard was, the more obedient it would be. After letting the dragon claw blazing sun leopard drive the flying ship, Mo Qingyun returned to the cabin to cultivate. Chapter 3255. The dragon claw scorching sun leopard seemed to have a high status among the barbarian demons. It was only slightly inferior to Yu Li and the other demons. Although they encountered many barbarian demons along the way, none of them stopped the dragon claw scorching sun leopard. About half a month later, the journey was smooth sailing. The dragon claw scorching sun leopard drove the flying boat and arrived at the Jade Lake Divine Prefecture. Roar! The dragon claw scorching sun leopard stopped the flying boat and shouted towards the cabin. It was telling Mo Qingyun that it had completed its mission and that Mo Qingyun should let it leave. We actually arrived at the Jade Lake Divine Prefecture? That's pretty fast. Hearing the dragon claw scorching sun leopard shout, Mo Qingyun was shocked and withdrew from his cultivation. He didn't expect the dragon claw scorching sun leopard to be so efficient. Roar! Seeing Mo Qingyun walk out of the cabin, the dragon claw fierce sun leopard let out a few more roars and said, "In the barbarian demon's divine continent, I can control the flying boat without any obstructions, but not in the Jade Lake divine continent. I'm useless to you if I continue to stay here. Can I leave now?" Hearing the dragon claw scorching sun leopard's words, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and waved his hand. "You can leave now. Don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I won't let you off so easily like this time." Seeing Mo Qingyun let it leave, the dragon claw scorching sun leopard dashed far away and disappeared from Mo Qingyun's sight. It didn't want to see Mo Qingyun. It was an accident this time. After letting the dragon claw scorching sun leopard leave, Mo Qingyun took out the map and considered the next route. He wanted to analyze the route to Carefree Valley that would be faster and easier. Soon, Mo Qingyun decided on the route to Carefree Valley. After deciding on the route, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any time and set off for Carefree Valley. Since the journey wasn't far, Mo Qingyun drove the flying boat himself and didn't let Ao Lai replace him. The journey to Carefree Valley was unexpectedly smooth, which surprised Mo Qingyun. Half a month later, with Mo Qingyun hurrying along, he arrived outside Carefree Valley. Mo Qingyun requests to see Valley Master Carefree. Please pass on my message. Arriving outside Carefree Valley, Mo Qingyun did not waste any time and directly instructed the guards. Knowing Mo Qingyun's identity, the guards did not dare to delay and immediately entered the valley to pass the message. From this, it seemed that the Carefree Valley Master had instructed them to pay special attention to Mo Qingyun. Under the guard's notification, someone quickly came out. It was his old acquaintance, Luo Yunha. "Little friend Mo, long time no see. Greetings, senior." When Mo Qingyun and Li Wuyo met, they exchanged a few pleasantries. As Luo Yunha exchanged pleasantries with Mo Qingyun, he sensed Mo Qingyun's cultivation and his eyes flashed with shock. In a short period of time, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had reached the peak of the Heaven General realm, only a step away from the Great Deity realm. This speed was simply too fast. "Little friend, please." After calming down the shock in his heart, Luo Yunha made an inviting gesture and led Mo Qingyun into the valley. After leading Mo Qingyun into the valley, Luo Yunha looked curiously at Mo Qingyun and asked, "Little friend Mo, don't worry. In our Carefree Valley, no one can hurt you." Luo Yunha vaguely remembered that the last time Mo Qingyun left the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, he was hunted down by consecrated Luo Xie. If there were no surprises, Mo Qingyun should have come to Carefree Valley to avoid being hunted down. Hearing Luo Yunha's words, Mo Qingyun knew that he had misunderstood and hurriedly said, "Senior, I came to Carefree Valley this time, not to seek protection, but to ask Valley Master Carefree for a favor." Mo Qingyun's answer surprised Luo Yunha. The curiosity on his face deepened as he said, "I wonder what little friend Mo wants to help with. Why don't you tell this old man?" Luo Yunha's direct question made Mo Qingyun somewhat hesitant. He didn't know where to start. Mo Qingyun was silent for a moment before he said, "This matter is a little complicated. After a period of time, there may be a group of Kong Profound Heaven Sacred Clan coming to Carefree Valley to purchase the Carefree fruit. I would like to ask Valley Master to reject their purchase." Hearing Mo Qingyun's request, Luo Yunha's brows furrowed and a difficult expression appeared on his face. Mo Qingyun's request was a little too difficult. If this matter wasn't handled well, it might offend the Kong Profound Heaven Sacred Clan. The Kong Profound Heaven Sacred Clan wasn't a small force. If they offended them, it would be extremely troublesome. This old man can't make a decision on this matter. Let's wait for Valley Master's opinion. After hearing Mo Qingyun's request, Luo Yunha shook his head with a difficult expression. He originally thought that Mo Qingyun had come to Carefree Valley to avoid being hunted down by Luo Xie. If that was the case, it would be a small matter. Although Luo Xie was a God King expert, Carefree Valley was nothing in his eyes. However, Mo Qingyun's request made it difficult for them. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived at Carefree Valley Master's courtyard under Luo Yuna's guidance. Valley Master, little friend Mo is here. Luo Yunha reported respectfully after entering Carefree Valley Master's courtyard. After hearing Luo Yunha's report, the Carefree Valley Master turned around and looked at Mo Qingyun. He smiled faintly and said, "Little friend Mo, long time no see. I heard that you left the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace and came to my Carefree Valley. Do you accept my previous proposal?" Luo Yuna's expression tensed up when he heard Carefree Valley Master's words. He was very clear about Mo Qingyun's cultivation talent. If Mo Qingyun accepted the proposal, Carefree Valley would have another exceptional genius. Of course, if he recruited Mo Qingyun, it would probably cause Chu Jiangxiao's displeasure. "Senior, thank you for thinking so highly of me." Mo Qingyun cupped his fists and thanked him. He did not say whether he agreed or not, but his meaning was obvious. He could not accept Carefree Valley Master's proposal. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Carefree Valley Master knew what he was thinking and did not force him. After glancing at Mo Qingyun, Valley Master Worryless asked curiously, "I wonder why little friend Mo has come looking for this old man. I have something that I would like to ask Senior for help with." Hearing Carefree Valley Master's question, Mo Qingyun did not beat around the bush and said directly, "After a period of time, there should be some people from the mysterious Sky Sacred tribe who would like to buy some carefree fruits from you. I would like to ask Senior to reject them." Mo Qingyun's request made Carefree Valley Master fall silent and put on a difficult expression. Seeing Carefree Valley Master's expression, Mo Qingyun was a little worried that Carefree Valley Master would reject him. Carefree Valley Master thought for a while and shook his head. "Little friend, this matter is making things difficult for me. If I reject them, I'm afraid it will be very disadvantageous for Carefree Valley." Hearing Carefree Valley Master's reply, Mo Qingyun was disappointed, but he did not blame him. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame the mysterious Sky Sacred tribe for being too strong. Chapter 3256. In that case, Junior won't disturb you any longer. Mo Qingyun didn't want to make things difficult for Carefree Valley Master and respectfully bid him farewell. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun turned around and prepared to leave Carefree Valley. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Carefree Valley Master felt a headache. He thought for a moment and said, "Little friend, please wait a moment. Although I can't refuse the sacred clan of Kong Xiantian, I have a method for you to prevent them from buying the carefree fruit. However, this method will be very bad for you. It will cause the sacred clan of Kong Xiantian to hate you." Hearing Carefree Valley Master's words, Mo Qingyun's eyes lit up and he hurriedly asked, "Senior, please enlighten me. Junior will definitely remember this kindness." Seeing Mo Qingyun's anxious appearance, Carefree Valley Master didn't beat around the bush and said, "The method is actually very simple. You just have to buy all the carefree fruits. This way, I won't be able to sell them to the sacred clan of Kong Xiantian. Of course, if you do this, you will attract the attention of the sacred clan of Kong Xiantian and may cause some unnecessary trouble." After Carefree Valley Master finished speaking, he calmly looked at Mo Qingyun and waited for his answer. Under Carefree Valley Master's gaze, Mo Qingyun showed a grateful expression and said, "Senior, thank you for your kind intentions. I am willing to buy all the carefree fruits. However, I am worried that I don't have enough heaven crystals to pay the full price." Mo Qingyun knew very well that Carefree Valley Master's suggestion would also offend the sacred clan of Kong Xiantian. Carefree Valley Master was only saying this to give him an excuse to help him. "It's fine. You just have to pay a portion of the deposit first. I will slowly pay the rest later." Carefree Valley Master answered Mo Qingyun's concerns without hesitation and looked at Mo Qingyun with deep meaning. In his view, he was buying a huge favor by helping Mo Qingyun. More importantly, Mo Qingyun had not paid back all the heaven crystals he owed, so his relationship with Carefree Valley could not be severed. Hearing Valley Master worryless words, Mo Qingyun's gratitude toward him grew even stronger. From the looks of it now, Valley Master Carefree's suggestion was clearly meant to help him. When Mo Qingyun thought up to hear, he revealed a worried expression and said, "Senior, I'll definitely owe countless heaven crystals if I buy all the fretless fruits. What should I do if I can't pay them back in the future?" The Valley Master smiled in response to Mo Qingyun's concerns. He said, "This problem is too simple. If you can't return it, I'll go find Chu Jiangshao." Mo Qingyun was speechless. He had never expected that Valley Master Carefree would give such an answer after hearing his words. Seeing Mo Qingyun's deflated expression, Valley Master Carefree smiled faintly and said, "Tell me, how many heaven crystals do you have? If you don't have enough heaven crystals, I'll let you use some cultivation resources to make up for it." "Thank you, Senior." Mo Qingyun thanked him and said, "I have quite a few heaven crystals on me. I have about 700 million. As for cultivation resources, I do have some, but I can't estimate the exact amount." As Mo Qingyun spoke, he threw some cultivation resources that he did not need on the ground. Soon after, a pure and mysterious energy was emitted from those cultivation resources. Valley Master Carefree and Luo Yunhe were stunned when they saw this. Mo Qingyun's wealth was too terrifying. Putting aside the 700 million heaven crystals, just the cultivation resources before them were worth more than 1 billion. A junior with a heavenly general cultivation base actually had such a terrifying amount of wealth? Could this kid have moved the treasury of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace? Luo Yunhe smiled bitterly when he saw the cultivation resources Luo Yunhe took out. As a godly monarch expert, all his assets added up to only 100 million heaven crystals. The gap between him and Mo Qingyun was just too great. The master of the Carefree Valley smiled bitterly when he heard Luo Yunhe's words. He shook his head and said, "This kid has surprised me once again. Even I am not as good as him at accumulating wealth." While Valley Master Carefree and Luo Yunhe were shocked, some of the nearby elders were attracted over. As a divine king realm expert, he was naturally attracted by the sudden appearance of so many cultivation resources. In a short while, Carefree Valley Master's courtyard was filled with Carefree Valley's elders. "Valley Master, where did these cultivation resources come from?" "These cultivation resources are extremely rare in the Jade Lake Divine Prefecture. Many of them come from the deity Domain's Boundary Sea. The deity Domain's Boundary Sea's cultivation resources are the rarest. There are many things here that I am urgently searching for. This is a 100-million-year-old sky spatial boundary stone. Valley Master, please return it to me. I'm willing to pay 100 million heaven crystals. 1 billion-year-old East Sea Dragon Blood Coral. This is the main ingredient for refining the Dragon Bone Transformation Pill. I'm willing to spend 200 million heaven crystals to exchange for it." "I want to exchange too. I want to exchange." All of a sudden, all the elders were extremely agitated. They all wanted to exchange cultivation resources. Seeing the elders' behavior, not only was Valley Master Carefree dumbfounded, even Mo Qingyun was stunned. Looking at this trend, the cultivation resources before him could increase in value by several hundred million. Under the elders' pleading and expectant gazes, Valley Master Carefree smiled faintly and shook his head. He said, "These things are not mine. They're used by little friend Mo to buy the Carefree fruit. If you all want to exchange, you can use the Carefree fruit to exchange with little friend Mo his." Hearing Valley Master Carefree's words, the elders in the courtyard were stunned. According to his estimation, these cultivation resources before him were worth more than 1 billion according to normal prices. If someone was in a hurry to buy them, they might be worth 2 billion. How could a Heaven General Stage junior possess such terrifying wealth? Isn't he the young friend who won first place in the array formation meeting? It really is him. This kid is actually so rich. Could he be the myriad Demon Emperor Palace's treasure vault in the sky. Chu Jiangshao really spoils him too much. He actually allows him to do as he pleases. Cut the crap. I don't care where he got his things. Even if you don't want to exchange, I still want to exchange. Get lost. I want to exchange. Don't cut the line. The elders looked anxious as they exchanged cultivation resources with Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun did not care about everyone's behavior. With a calm expression, he said, "Elders, I will only use these cultivation resources to exchange for the carefree fruit. Please forgive me." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the elders were first stunned, then they disappeared in a flash. From their behavior, it was obvious what they were going to do. If nothing unexpected happened, they were going to find someone else to buy the carefree fruit in their hands. Chapter 32:57. Soon, the elders who had just left all came to Mo Qingyun's side. Now that they had returned, they wasted no time in exchanging cultivation resources with Mo Qingyun. While Mo Qingyun wasn't paying attention, some of the elders had already finished exchanging their items. Their actions didn't seem like they were exchanging at all, but more like they were robbing. They didn't even ask Mo Qingyun's price. After obtaining the cultivation resources they needed, they left the fretless fruit people behind and ran off. These guys, the Valley Master shook his head at the elders' actions, a bitter smile appearing on his face. He hadn't expected such a situation at all. Before long, the number of fretless fruits in Mo Qingyun's hands had reached several dozen. "Young friend, we'll exchange all of our fretless fruits with you. This old man is truly out of ideas. Can you use heaven crystals to exchange for them? Young friend, this old man needs your 100-million-year-old deep-sea frost flame iron to refine the ice whirlpool divine flame staff. Please help me. Valley Master, I wish to exchange for fretless fruit. Please state your request." Some of the elders who didn't have any fretless fruits began to beg Mo Qingyun. There were also some elders who begged the Valley Master to distribute some fretless fruits. Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction at the elders' actions. Judging from the current situation, all of the scattered fretless fruits in Carefree Valley should be in his hands. Then, Mo Qingyun looked at the Valley Lord of the Carefree Valley in surprise. "Senior, may I ask how many carefree fruits are left in a valley? Please calculate their value. I will use these materials and heaven crystals to buy them." The Valley Master nodded at Mo Qingyun's words and began to calculate the number of fretless fruits. After a few words with the Valley Master, Mo Qingyun turned to the elders and said, "Seniors, I will exchange these cultivation resources for fretless fruits with the Valley Master. If you need any cultivation resources, you can slowly discuss with him." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, all the elders' expressions relaxed, and a look of joy appeared on their faces. In this way, their worries would no longer exist. They would only need to spend a little more effort. After explaining to the elders, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything more. He silently waited for Valley Master Wu He's result. A short while later, Valley Master Ashoka said calmly, "Currently, there are 87 Ashoka fruits in Valley Master Ashoka's treasury. The total value is about 2 billion heaven crystals." Mo Qingyun began to calculate inside when he heard the Valley Lord's words. He said, "The remaining cultivation resources are worth around 1 billion heavens crystals. I have 700 million heavens crystals on me, so I still owe 300 million heavens crystals." As Mo Qingyun spoke, he took out all his sky crystals. Looking at the heaven crystal that Mo Qingyun took out, the elders in the courtyard were all stunned on the spot. The wealth that Mo Qingyun possessed was simply too astonishing. It was no wonder that they wanted to use the heaven crystals to purchase cultivation resources from Mo Qingyun, but Mo Qingyun didn't agree to their request. Given the number of heaven crystals that Mo Qingyun possessed, there was indeed no meaning in obtaining more heaven crystals. Everyone thought this way because they had misunderstood Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun had requested to use Ashoka fruits to exchange because he was worried that he would miss out on some Ashoka fruits and let the people of the profound sky sacred tribe buy them. Although the exchange had been completed, it didn't mean that there weren't any Ashoka fruits left out. However, all in all, the number of Ashoka fruits in the hands of the other people in Ashoka Valley was too few. Seeing Mo Qingyun's wealth, Valley Master Ashoka smiled faintly and said, "How about this? Take back 200 million heavens crystals. Consider it, as you owing me 500 million heavens crystals. You can slowly pay it back in the future." After saying that, Valley Master Ashoka took out a storage ring and handed it over to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun took the storage ring from Valley Master Ashoka's hand and checked it. There were exactly 87 Ashoka fruits in the storage ring. Seeing that the Ashoka fruits had been purchased, Mo Qingyun wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, he said, "I'll have to trouble seniors to help me pass on the message to the other people in the valley. If they have any Ashoka fruits, they can sell them to me. I will be extremely grateful." Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding elders all agreed and made promises to Mo Qingyun. A moment later, some of the elders exchanged for the cultivation materials they wanted from Valley Master Carefree, and then left. After the elders left, Valley Master Ashoka waved his hand and said, "Elder Yunha, take little friend Mo to rest." "Yes." Luo Yunha responded and left with Mo Qingyun. Over the next few days, Mo Qingyun stayed in Ashoka Valley and continued to purchase the missing Ashoka fruits. There weren't many Ashoka fruits left out. Mo Qingyun stayed for 5 days and only bought one. "In that case, I should leave too." After receiving such a result, Mo Qingyun wasn't willing to stay any longer and went to bid farewell to Valley Master Ashoka. Now, he was in a hurry to head to the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven. If he hadn't met the women of the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven, he wouldn't have come. Outside Ashoka Valley, "Little friend Mo, this old man won't hold you back. You're always welcome." Looking at Mo Qingyun before him, Valley Master Worryless had a calm expression as he bid farewell to Mo Qingyun. Hearing Valley Master Ashoka's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "This junior will remember seniors' help time and time again. If there's anything this junior needs in the future, feel free to let me know." After saying goodbye to Valley Master Ashoka, Mo Qingyun steered the shadowward flying ship and left Valley Master Ashoka. Seeing Mo Qingyun leave, Luo Yunha asked curiously, "Valley Master, why did little friend Mo stop the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven from purchasing the Ashoka fruits? What's his plan?" "I don't know." Valley Master Ashoka shook his head and said, "If I'm not wrong, the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven buying the Ashoka fruits should be related to him." Luo Yuna nodded and said, "Little friend Mo's background is getting more and more mysterious. He's actually related to the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven." Valley Master Ashoka pondered for a moment and didn't say anything. He turned and walked back into Ashoka Valley. Not long after they returned to the valley, a group of beautiful women came to Ashoka Valley. This group of women was naturally the women of the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven. The women came to Ashoka Valley and asked to see Valley Master Ashoka about purchasing the Ashoka fruits. Knowing the purpose of the women's visit, the elders of Ashoka Valley were all shocked. They were also here to purchase the Ashoka fruits? Since when did the Ashoka fruits become so important? Seeing the elders' reaction, the women of the sacred clan of Kong Xian Heaven were puzzled, and a strong suspicion arose in their hearts. In their eyes, the reactions of the elders of Carefree Valley were a little too abnormal. End of chapter. Chapter 3258. Miss Xianine, I'm truly sorry about this. The fretless fruits were sold out not long ago. Valley Master Carefree looked down at Kong Xianine with a calm expression and gave her a clear answer. Kong Xianine's face tensed up when she heard this answer. She was very surprised by this answer. The reaction of the Carefree Valley's elders just now had made her feel very strange, and a strong sense of doubt arose in her heart. Now she understood why the elders had such a reaction when she said she wanted to buy the fretless fruits. She didn't expect that all the fretless fruits had been sold out before they arrived. While Kong Xianine was shocked, she also felt a sense of doubt. She felt that this was a little unusual. How could there be such a coincidence? Kong Xianin frowned, and her pretty face tensed up. She coldly looked at the Valley Master of the Carefree Valley and said, Valley Master Carefree, can you tell us the identity and origin of the person who bought the carefree fruit? Hearing Kong Xuanin's words, the surrounding elders' expressions changed slightly, and they all looked like they wanted to say something. But before they could say anything, Valley Master Carefree said with an awkward expression, I'm very sorry, but please forgive this old man for not being able to agree to your request. Valley Master Carefree's answer made Kong Xianin unhappy, and her face darkened slightly. She could feel that Valley Master Carefree was intentionally shielding the other party and not allowing them to buy the fretless fruits. If that's the case, we won't disturb you any longer. Seeing Valley Master Carefree's attitude, Kong Xianin didn't want to stay any longer and left after saying goodbye. Valley Master Carefree didn't care about Kong Xuanin's actions and nodded indifferently in response. Soon after, Luo Yunhe stood up to send them off, sending them out of Carefree Valley. After leaving Carefree Valley, the girls no longer suppressed their thoughts and immediately started talking at once. Senior Sister Xianin, how can we report back without buying the fretless fruits? Who bought all the fretless fruits? They must be deliberately targeting us. They better not let me know who they are, or I won't be polite to them. Everyone, think carefully. What should we do next? The girls gathered together and discussed. Kong Xianin pondered for a moment and said, in the past few years, many of the fretless fruits in Carefree Valley have been sold. Let's ask around, and maybe we can buy some. As for the person who bought the fretless fruit, let's make some more inquiries. Perhaps we can find out more about him. Hearing Kong Xuanin's words, the other women all nodded in agreement, feeling that she was right. After chatting with the girls for a while, Kong Xianin took out a flying boat and said, All right, let's not waste any more time and return to the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan. Soon after, the girls controlled the flying ship and returned to the Profound Heaven Sacred Clan. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 1 month had passed since Mo Qingyun left Carefree Valley. After a month of traveling, Mo Qingyun passed through the Barbarian Demon Divine Continent and arrived at the Feather Transformation Divine Continent. After entering the territory of the Feather Transformation Divine Prefecture, Mo Qingyun was once again pursued. Just like before, he easily dealt with the people who were chasing after him. Perhaps it was because too much time had passed, but everyone's pursuit of Mo Qingyun was obviously not as intense as before. Since the matter of the fretless fruit is settled, I should also make a trip to the Cold Moon Demon Palace. With that thought, Mo Qingyun drove the flying boat and rushed towards the Cold Moon Demon Palace. The Cold Moon Demon Palace was still somewhat famous in the Feather Transformation Divine Continent, so Mo Qingyun easily found it. Outside the Cold Moon Demon Palace, Missouri Qingyun directly walked to the mountain gate and said, I am Mo Qingyun, and I am here to pay my respects to Palace Master Wan. Please help me pass on a message. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he stood in front of the Cold Moon Demon Palace's mountain gate with an indifferent look on his face. He really wanted to see how Wan Guiqiong and the others would react when they heard that he had come. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, a few disciples guarding the mountain gate immediately entered the sect to pass on a message. Not long after, a disciple came to the Cold Moon Demon Palace's conference hall in a panic. Palace Master, there's a brat called Mo Qingyun standing outside the mountain gate. He is asking for an audience. When the disciple arrived at the conference hall, he had a nervous look on his face as he reported the news to Wan Guiqiong. In his memory, the recent pursuit order issued by the Palace Lord seemed to be to hunt down Mo Qingyun. Now, Mo Qingyun had taken the initiative to come to the Cold Moon Demon Palace. This really shocked him. Mo Qingyun is here? When they heard the disciples' report, Wan Guiqiong and the others were astonished. They had never thought that Mo Qingyun would take the initiative to come to the Cold Moon Demon Palace. This brat actually took the initiative to come to the Cold Moon Demon Palace? Wan Guiqiong's brows furrowed tightly as she felt a strong sense of suspicion. She glanced over at Xing He and the others. Sensing Wan Guiqiong's gaze, Xing He's expression also tensed. He said, in my opinion, this matter is not so simple. That brat might be here to punish us. We have to be careful." Hearing Xing He's words, Guan Peng nodded in agreement. Recently, all the people who have been chasing him have been killed. This means that the battle strength he controls is not weak. We can't be careless. After such a long investigation, Wang Guoqiong and the others had a clear understanding of Mo Qingyun's strength. They discussed for a while and were all dumbfounded. To meet or not to meet? Thinking of their actions, Wang Guoqiong and the others were dumbfounded. They felt that it was somewhat ironic. The person they had been chasing with all their might was right in front of them, but they didn't dare to meet him. This was too laughable. "Wang Guoqiong, aren't you chasing me everywhere? Now that I'm here, why don't you dare to come out?" Just as Wang Guoqiong and the others were hesitating, an arrogant voice came from outside the cold moon demon palace. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wang Guoqiong and the others' faces darkened. They felt humiliated. Mo Qingyun was really too arrogant. A Heaven General Realm Jr. actually dared to challenge 3 godly king powerhouses. This was an action that was courting death. Let's go. This arrogant brat really won't shed tears until he sees the coffin. I want to see what trump card this brat has. Wang Guoqiong and the others discussed for a while. Then they came out of the hall and went to meet Mo Qingyun. Before long, Mo Qingyun saw 3 figures flashing towards him with extreme speed. Soon, 3 figures with powerful auras stood in the air above him. 3 godly kings. Sensing Xing He and the other two's auras, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He said in surprise, "You all really think highly of me. I'm just a Heaven General Realm person, but I've troubled 3 godly king powerhouses to chase after me." When Mo Qingyun said this, he didn't show any panic. Instead, he had a very calm appearance. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Wang Guoqiong and the others became even more wary. End of this chapter. Chapter 32:59. What kind of trump card does this kid have? How can he be so fearless? Looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, Wang Guoqiong's face was dark and uncertain. In fact, during this period of time, they had already found out about Mo Qingyun's whereabouts. However, they were unsure of Mo Qingyun's strength, so they did not act rashly. During this period of time, according to their analysis, Mo Qingyun's fighting strength should be at the level of a divine king. Although the 3 of them were at the level of a divine king. However, was Mo Qingyun's true strength only at the level of a divine king? At this moment, as the 2 sides were facing each other, a flying boat approached rapidly. As the flying boat approached, it attracted the attention of Mo Qingyun and the others. They all looked at it. Under everyone's gaze, the flying boat came to a stop above the cold moon demon palace. Looking at the situation, Wang Guoqiong and the other 2's expressions became even more tense. Soon, a divine king's aura erupted from the flying boat. This aura was released, and it enveloped Mo Qingyun. This person was here to look for Mo Qingyun. Looks like Mo Qingyun's enemy is here. Interesting. This kid has quite a lot of enemies. All of them are divine king experts. With this kid's heaven general cultivation, he can still survive after offending so many divine king experts. We can't be careless. Wang Guoqiong and the others exchanged a few words. The way they looked at Mo Qingyun became even more fearful. The more unknown something was, the scarier it was. The feeling that Mo Qingyun gave them now was like a black hole, making them unable to see through him in the slightest. Luo Xie. Looking at the figure on the flying boat, Mo Qingyun recognized him. A look of shock appeared on his face as he said, "I didn't expect you to still dare to cause trouble for me after you managed to keep your life." At this moment, Mo Qingyun looked at Luo Xie without the slightest bit of fear or respect. Although Luo Xie was not weak, he was only a mid-divine king. He was no longer a threat to him. If you didn't have the God Emperor's great Tao origin, how could you have possibly injured me?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Luo Xie coldly snorted and attacked Mo Qingyun. He shouted, "In my memory, You've already activated the God Emperor's essence 3 times. I don't believe that you still have the God Emperor's essence. Luo Xie's figure moved and appeared in front of Mo Qingyun, launching an attack on Mo Qingyun. Facing Luo Xie's attack, Mo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He immediately summoned the ghost god Yang Wulong. Then a mid-divine king aura erupted in front of Mo Qingyun. When Yang Wulong was summoned, he roared and charged towards Luo Xie. God King Ghost God. Seeing Ghost God Yang Wulong appear, Luo Xie's eyelids trembled. His eyes were filled with intense shock. He had never imagined that Mo Qingyun would have such a thing in his possession. Luo Xie's face darkened when he noticed this. He said angrily, "Damn that Zhu Longxi, he actually gave him a God King Ghost God." In Luo Xie's opinion, Mo Qingyun's God King Ghost God must have been given to him by Zhu Longxi. After all, with Mo Qingyun's Sky General Realm cultivation, it would be very difficult for him to refine a God King Ghost God. Under Yang Wulong's attack, Luo Xie was immediately entangled. The two of them were locked in a fierce battle. Seeing this scene, the expressions of Wang Guiqiong and the others immediately relaxed. So it's a God King Ghost God. No wonder he can control the battle strength of God King. This is his trump card. It's indeed very shocking. It's just a God King Ghost God. It won't be difficult for us to deal with him. More importantly, his God King Realm Spectre Immortal was held back by that person. Wang Guiqiong and the others smiled faintly. They felt that they had seen through Mo Qingyun. Since they had seen through Mo Qingyun, they had nothing to fear. Wang Guiqiong snorted, "Kid, you've got guts. How dare you come to my Cold Moon Devil Palace after killing my son? If you know what's good for you, hand over Qi immediately, and I'll give you a quick death." Xing He snorted at Wang Guiqiong's words. "Kid, you schemed against this old man last time. It's time to settle the score today." Guan Peng said, "Humph. What a bold kid. How dare you destroy my Heaven-Killing Society's branch? After you die, your God King Ghost God will be my compensation." Wang Guiqiong and Xing He's expressions changed slightly when they heard Guan Peng's words. Guan Peng was really shameless. They were all too aware of the value of a God King Ghost God. If they obtain a God King Ghost God, their strength would change qualitatively. They could even fight a late-stage God King Ghost God. Although they were dissatisfied, the current situation was not the time for internal strife. Therefore, although Wang Guiqiong and Xing He were dissatisfied, they did not show it. Seeing Wang Guiqiong and the other two's expressions, Mo Qingyun guessed their thoughts. "Do the three of you think I only have one God King Ghost God?" Wang Guiqiong and the other two's faces twitched when they heard Mo Qingyun's question. Their expressions immediately tensed up. Regarding Mo Qingyun's words, they were still a little unsure. The three exchanged glances. Wang Guiqiong snorted coldly and shouted, "Kid, don't try to be mysterious and try to scare this old man. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed." As soon as Wang Guiqiong finished speaking, his figure flashed and attacked Mo Qingyun. Seeing Wang Guiqiong attack, Guan Peng did not waste words and attacked Mo Qingyun as well. He shouted, "Even if you have God King Ghost Gods, how many can you have? 1 or 2? In Guan Peng's opinion, God King Ghost Gods were very rare. It was impossible to have too many of them. Mo Qingyun was already very lucky to have one. No matter how heaven-defying his luck was, having another one would be incredible. In that case, watch carefully." Seeing Wang Guiqiong and the other two's actions, Mo Qingyun's expression darkened, and he emitted a strong battle intent. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to summon a ghost god to attack Wang Guiqiong and the other two, an ethereal flying boat was flying towards them at an extremely fast speed. The airship's approach immediately attracted everyone's attention. They all looked over. Seeing the airship in the air, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. Shock flashed through his eyes. He did not expect to meet them here. When Mo Qingyun recognized the other party recognized him as well. Their beautiful eyes were filled with shock. "It's him." After recognizing Mo Qingyun, The airship in the air stopped. Then, beautiful figures flew out one by one and flew towards Mo Qingyan. End of chapter. Chapter 3260. Why are they here? Seeing the girls flying towards him, Mo Qingyan frowned, and his mood became a little heavy. With these girls joining in, the situation became a little chaotic. He had to be careful and not expose his full strength. He had to leave some cards up his sleeve. While Mo Qingyan was surprised, he also felt a little worried. He thought to himself, they suddenly came here. Could it be because of the fretless fruit? Mo Qingyan was now a little worried. Kong Xian Tian Holy Clan's girls came here because they found out that he had bought the fretless fruit. Oomph. Who told you to be rude to others? Now you're in trouble? Kong Xianhua arrogantly raised her head and said proudly as she came in front of Mo Qingyan. In response to Kong Xuanyua's question, Mo Qingyan thought for a moment and asked, Miss, you didn't come here to watch a show, right? Hearing Mo Qingyan's question, Kong Xianin and the other girls frowned, but they didn't answer Mo Qingyan. Without waiting for Kong Xianin and the other girls to speak, Kong Xianhua answered first. We don't have time to watch you make a fool of ourselves. We just happened to pass by here. I didn't expect a Heaven General Realm cultivator like you to have obtained several divine King Realm experts. You're really bold. Mo Qingyun didn't pay attention to Kong Xuanyua's ridicule and contempt. He said indifferently, Ladies, if you don't have any business with me, then please step aside and don't hinder me from taking care of them. After a few words with Kong Xianhua, Mo Qingyun understood that they didn't come for the fretless fruit. In that case, he could put down the worries in his heart. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Kong Xianin and the other women beside him widened their eyes in shock. They hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun would still be able to say something like this at this point. You're so shameless. Are you their opponent? Kong Xianhua rolled her eyes at Mo Qingyun and asked in a bad mood, expressing her doubts about Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun felt a little helpless after hearing Kong Xuanyua's words. He asked, whether I'm their opponent or not, it has nothing to do with you. Will you help me if I'm not their opponent? Mo Qingyun's question made Kong Xianhua speechless. She didn't know how to answer. After Mo Qingyun spoke, he went around Kong Xianhua and walked towards Wang Guiqiong and the others. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the expressions of Wang Guiqiong and the others relaxed, and their hanging hearts relaxed a little. Since they didn't know Mo's, they wouldn't meddle in other people's business. Otherwise, with Kong Xianin and the other female divine king's strength, it would be very bad for them. Seeing Mo Qingyun go around the girls and was about to fight with Wang Guiqiong and the others, Kong Xianhua chased after him and said, although you're a little annoying, you still have some guts. Kong Xianhua, can't stand people who bully others with their strength and numbers. After Kong Xianhua finished speaking, she looked towards Wang Guiqiong and the others and said, all of you, listen up. I'm going to protect this guy today. I'm going to take him away now. Do you have any objections? Seeing Kong Xianhua stand out, Wang Guiqiong and the others' expressions became tense. In their opinion, this was a good opportunity to teach Mo Qingyun a lesson. If they missed it, it would be hard to get another chance. Immediately, Wang Guiqiong looked at Mo Qingyun and said coldly, Mo Qingyun, this is what you meant by teaching us a lesson. So you're relying on these girls? Hearing Wang Guiqiong's words, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold and said, if they hadn't come today, you'd be a dead man now. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Kong Xianin and the others were speechless and shook their heads helplessly. Mo Qingyun was too arrogant. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he didn't waste any more words and took out the Shadow Sword flying ship. Immediately, he stepped on the Shadow Sword flying ship, summoned Ghost God Yang Wulong, and prepared to leave. As for Luo Xie, who had lost his opponent, he didn't continue to attack after seeing the current situation. He could see that with the current situation, he wouldn't be able to defeat Mo Qingyun today. Wang Guiqiong and the others had a heavy expression, and no one knew what they were thinking about. Seeing Mo Qingyun leave on the flying ship, Kong Xianhua and the others quickly followed. Kong Xianyue shouted. Hey, we saved you, and you didn't even say a word of thanks. Hearing Kong Xuanyue shout, Mo Qingyun stopped the flying ship and turned to look at them and said, Ladies, why are you following me? Mo Qingyun was now a little worried. These women had been following him because of the fretless fruit. If this was the case, he would have a lot of trouble when he went to the profound Heaven Holy Clan. Under Mo Qingyun's nervous gaze, Kong Xianin walked to the front and said, Young master, I don't have any other meaning. I just feel a very familiar feeling from you. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before, but I can't remember where. This feeling is really strange. Hearing Kong Xuanin's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and couldn't help but think. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and immediately understood what Kong Xianin meant by familiar. If he guessed correctly, she might have heard some of his deeds when she was talking with Qian Linglong. Mo Qingyun chuckled and said, Maybe I have a common face, so I give you a sense of familiarity. After hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation, Kong Xianin nodded and felt that it should be the case. Although Mo Qingyun's explanation cleared some of her doubts, Kong Xianin was still curious and asked, Young master, with your cultivation, you shouldn't be able to make enemies with God King experts. How did you provoke for God King experts? In Kong Xuanin's view, with Mo Qingyun's heavenly general cultivation, he shouldn't have crossed paths with God Kings. Even if he did cross paths, it shouldn't be to the extent of becoming enemies. However, when she thought of Ghost God Yang Wulong, she suddenly understood. After Mo Qingyun controlled Ghost God Yang Wulong, he had the battle strength of a God King expert. It was normal for him to make enemies with God Kings. Hearing Kong Xuanin's question, Mo Qingyun didn't hide and answered honestly. In the previous auction, I snatched an auction item and became enemies with a young lord of the Cold Moon Devil Palace. Mo Qingyun's answer puzzled Kong Xianin, and she immediately got an answer. Now that he said it, there was nothing strange. If she guessed correctly, the young lord of the Cold Moon Devil Palace wanted to use his status to snatch Mo Qingyun's auction item. With Mo Qingyun's character, he naturally wouldn't give in. As a result, the conflict between the two sides became more and more intense. After chatting with Mo Qingyun for a while, Kong Xianin and the other girls asked curiously, Young master, you seem to be going the same way as us. Where are you going? Kong Xian Heaven's Holy Clan. In response to Kong Xuanin's question, Mo Qingyun didn't hide and directly spoke his thoughts. Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Kong Xianin and the other girls were stunned and surprised by Mo Qingyun's answer. In a chapter. Chapter 3261. You want to go to the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan? Kong Xuanin's eyes widened as she looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. They had to admit that Mo Qingyun's answer was beyond their expectations. Even if they racked their brains, they would never have thought that Mo Qingyun would want to go to the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan. Mo Qingyun wasn't surprised at all by the girls' reaction. He had already expected how the girls would react to his words. Ladies, is there something wrong? Mo Qingyun pretended to be puzzled and asked. Kong Xianin shook her head and said, There's nothing wrong. I'm just a little surprised that you and I are going the same way. Mo Qingyun pretended to be enlightened and nodded his head. Meanwhile, Kong Xianyue glared strangely at Mo Qingyun, and the corners of her mouth puckered slightly as she said, Kid, your luck isn't bad. You're actually going the same way as us. You wouldn't have said that intentionally to obtain our protection, right? Seeing Kong Xuanyue's action, Kong Xianin glared at her and said, Xianyue, don't be rude. Kong Xianyue felt indignant at Kong Xuanin's reprimand and looked at Mo Qingyun provocatively. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Kong Xuanyue's action and cupped his hands towards Kong Xianin. Ladies, thank you for your help. If there's nothing else, let's part ways here. To be honest, Mo Qingyun didn't want to travel with these ladies. It would make his actions awkward. More importantly, he had bought all the fretless fruits, and it would be troublesome if he was exposed. Kong Xianin and the other ladies naturally didn't know what Mo Qingyun was thinking. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun's parting with them was Kong Xuanyue's words. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Kong Xianyun glared at Kong Xianyue again before turning to Mo Qingyun and said, "Young master, you don't need to mind Xuanyue's words. She just has a sharp tongue and doesn't have any bad intentions. I suspect that those people will not let this go. If you separate from us, they will probably attack you again. Why don't you come with us to the sky, human divine realm? When we reach the sky, human divine realm, it won't be too late for you to part with us." As soon as Kong Xianyun finished speaking, Kong Xianyue said somewhat unwillingly, "You're a big man. How can you be so petty? I only said a few words to you, and you're venting your anger by wanting to separate from us." Hearing Kong Xuanyue's words, Mo Qingyun was speechless. At the same time, Mo Qingyun understood that it was unrealistic to go back and deal with Wang Guiqiong and the others. Mo Qingyun thought for a while and said, "If that's the case, I'll have to trouble you ladies." After discussing with the women, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and entered their flying boat. Next, Mo Qingyun and the women rushed towards the Kong Xian Heaven Holy Clan. Inside the flying boat, Kong Xuanyun's beautiful eyes were filled with curiosity. She looked at Mo Qingyun and asked, "Young master, we won't hide it from you. We're all from the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan. Why are you heading to the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan? If you trust us, why don't you tell us about it? Maybe we can help you." Seeing Kong Xuanyun's action, Kong Xianyue curled her lips and said, "Senior Sister Xianyun, you're too good to him. Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to him. This guy is really handsome and has good temperament and talent. But you've only seen him once, and you've already taken a fancy to him. Is this love at first sight?" Hearing Kong Xuanyue's words, Kong Xuanyun's face turned red, and she showed a shy expression. Kong Xianyun turned her head and glared at Kong Xianyue fiercely and said, "If you talk nonsense again, do you believe that I won't confine you?" Kong Xuanyun's threat and warning scared Kong Xianyue, and she immediately shut her mouth. When the women saw this, they smiled faintly and didn't say anything. However, when they looked at Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyun, their gazes had changed. Obviously, they all felt that Kong Xuanyue's words made sense. Mo Qingyun didn't care about the women's reaction. He naturally didn't think that Kong Xianyun would fall in love with him at first sight. He felt that Kong Xuanyun's curiosity towards him had something to do with Qianling Long. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and said, "I'm going to the Kong Xian Heaven Holy Clan to see an old friend, but I'm not sure about her specific identity. When the time comes, I'll leave it to fate." Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Kong Xianyun didn't say anything. But when she looked at Mo Qingyun, there was a hint of pessimism in her eyes. Obviously, she felt that the hope of Mo Qingyun meeting her was slim. Next, Mo Qingyun casually chatted with the women and asked about the Kong Xian Heaven Holy Clan. "Yunji, take Mr. Mo to rest." After talking with Mo Qingyun for a while, Kong Xianyun asked a woman to take Mo Qingyun into the cabin. When Mo Qingyun entered the cabin, a girl beside her looked worried and said, "Senior Sister Xianyun, are we really going to take Mo Qingyun to the clan? If the elders blame us, we won't be able to explain ourselves." "We'll see." Hearing the girl's question, Kong Xianyun shook her head and said, "Young Master Mo gives me a very familiar feeling, as if I've met him before. In addition, he's going to the clan, which makes me even more curious about him. I asked him to come with me, because I want to find out the doubts in my heart." Hearing Kong Xuanyun's words, the girl didn't say anything and silently nodded. Outside the cold Moon Demon Palace, after Mo Qingyun and the others left, Wang Guiqiong and the other two looked at Luo Xie with a friendly smile. The enemy of one's enemy was one's friend. Since Luo Xie and Mo Qingyun had a grudge against each other, they could rope him in and make him their ally. No matter what, Luo Xie was a divine king expert. If they could use him well, it would be a sharp knife. After greeting Luo Xie, Wang Guiqiong made an inviting gesture and said, "Friend, you seem to have a grudge against Mo Qingyun as well. Why don't you come to the sect, and we could discuss it together? As the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. Let's discuss it together. It's better than acting alone." Hearing Wang Guiqiong's persuasion, Luo Xie hesitated for a moment and said, "All right, let's work together to deal with Mo Qingyun." In the previous confrontation, Luo Xie saw that although Mo Qingyun's cultivation was low, he was extremely difficult to deal with. Even though he was a divine king, he had suffered a few losses in the confrontation with Mo Qingyun. Now, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had not only increased, but he also controlled the divine king ghost god. With his strength alone, he wouldn't be able to deal with Mo Qingyun. If he could work together with Wang Guoqiong and the others, it would be a good choice. Immediately, Luo Xie was invited into the Cold Moon Demon Palace by several people. End of chapter. Chapter 3262. Cold Moon Devil Palace, Conference Hall. Wang Guoqiong and the others sat down and began to discuss matters. Looking at Luo Xie, Wang Guoqiong smiled faintly and said, "Friend, may I know which force you are from and what enmity do you have with Mo Qingyun? Also, do you know anything about Mo Qingyun's background?" Hearing Wang Guoqiong's question, Luo Xie pondered for a moment and said, "I am Luo Xie, a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Mo Qingyun is half a disciple of the Palace Master. According to the Palace Master's original intention, he was to be the successor. However, some elders objected and denied Mo Qingyun's identity. He became a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. As for my enmity with him, it is hard to explain in a short time. In short, we will fight to the death." After listening to Luo Xie's story, Wang Guoqiong and the others were shocked. They had guessed that Mo Qingyun's talent and cultivation meant that he had some background. However, they did not expect Mo Qingyun's background to be so great that he was actually a disciple of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. More importantly, according to Luo Xie's words, Mo Qingyun seemed to be highly regarded by the Palace Master. If that was the case, it would be troublesome for them to deal with Mo Qingyun. More importantly, it did not seem like it was a problem to deal with Mo Qingyun. If Mo Qingyun returned to the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace and asked for their help, it would be troublesome. Seeing Wang Guoqiong and the others' expressions, Luo Xie guessed their thoughts and said, "There is no need to worry. Not long ago, Mo Qingyun left the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Otherwise, with his status in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, I would not dare to act against him." Hearing Luo Xie's words, Wang Guoqiong and the others felt much better. If that was the case, the worries in their hearts could be lessened. "Xing," he said, "without the help of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, it won't be difficult for us to deal with Mo Qingyun. Judging from the means he displayed before, it should be close to his true strength. Otherwise, with his personality, it would be impossible for him to let us off the hook just because of a group of people." Hearing Xing He's explanation, Guanpeng and the others nodded. Guanpeng thought for a while and said, "Although those women saved Mo Qingyun, they won't protect Mo Qingyun forever. Once they separate from Mo Qingyun, we can make our move on Mo Qingyun. As for the whereabouts of Mo Qingyun and the others, once I return to the Sky Human Realm, I will order them to investigate." Luo Xie and the others discussed for a while before they went their own ways to deal with Mo Qingyun. Inside the Profound Heaven Holy Clan's flying ship. It's much easier to go to the Profound Heaven Holy Clan with the women. Thinking that he could easily enter the Profound Heaven Holy Clan with the help of the women, Mo Qingyun's mood improved. However, while Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, he also had some concerns. He thought, although I can easily enter the Sacred Clan and Kong Xintian with their help, it will be difficult for me, Wang Guoqiong, and the others to take revenge. They're lucky that Kong Xianin and the other women interfered. After I deal with Ling Long, I will slowly settle the score with them. As for the Heaven Killer Association, they have many forces in the Heaven Realm. It won't be difficult to take revenge on them." With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun decided not to waste any more time and started to immerse himself in cultivation. Immediately after, a shocking power of the laws of the Grand Tao emanated from Mo Qingyun. Then, The great Tao law condensed around Mo Qingyun's body, slowly condensed into law threads. Sensing the movement of Mo Qingyun's cultivation, Kong Xianin and the other women on the sampan were shocked. Kong Xianyue exclaimed, "What an astonishing power of the great Tao law! Even a heavenly god powerhouse is only at this level. Is this guy really in the heavenly general realm? Could it be that he was originally in the heavenly god realm and later fell to the heavenly general realm?" Hearing Kong Xuanyue's guess, Kong Xianin shook her head and said, "It doesn't seem like it. If I'm not wrong, his true cultivation should be in the heavenly general realm. Moreover, I can sense from his bone age that he shouldn't be more than 100 years old. To reach the quasi-great god realm in a mere 100 years old, even in our profound heaven-holy clan, he's a rare genius." The women talked for a while, then looked at the cabin Mo Qingyun was in, and their expressions changed greatly. After calming down, Kong Xianin waved her hand and said, "All right, don't worry about Mr. Mo. Everyone go to your own things." Hearing Kong Xuanin's words, Kong Xianyue and the other women dispersed. After letting the women leave, Kong Xuanin's pretty face tensed up and she muttered to herself, "Strange, looking at his cultivation state, the sense of familiarity seems to be stronger. Where have I seen him before?" After thinking hard for a while, Kong Xianin shook her head and didn't think about it anymore. As for Kong Xianin and the other women's thoughts, Mo Qingyun didn't know anything. He was wholeheartedly immersed in cultivation. Time always passed very quickly during cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. After 2 months of rushing, everyone passed through the sea of boundaries and returned to the celestial divine domain. Arriving at the celestial divine domain, Kong Xianin and the other women stopped the flying boat and prepared to do some simple replenishment. Looking at the cabin where Mo Qingyun was cultivating, Kong Xianyue said, "Senior Sister Xianin, he has been cultivating for 2 months. Should we call him along?" Hearing Kong Xuanyue's question, Kong Xianin shook her head and said, "Looking at him now, he should be at a critical point. Let's not disturb him for the time being. He can't be disturbed now. Xianyue, stay here and guard him so that he won't be disturbed." Kong Xianin was immediately dissatisfied with Kong Xuanin's arrangement and wanted to say something about it. But before Kong Xianyue could say anything, Kong Xianyue stopped her with a look. Immediately, Kong Xianin and the other women left, leaving Kong Xianyue alone to guard Mo Qingyun. Under Kong Xuanyue's protection, Mo Qingyun's aura suddenly disappeared from the cabin. Seeing this, Kong Xuanyue's pretty face changed, and she rushed into the cabin nervously. As soon as Kong Xianyue entered the cabin, she saw Mo Qingyun walking out of the cabin's cultivation room. Although Mo Qingyun's cultivation didn't increase much, his aura was more fierce and restrained. Seeing Kong Xianyue walking towards him, Mo Qingyun didn't speak nonsense and said, "Miss Xianyue, I have something to deal with and have to leave immediately. I will bid you farewell." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and he left the flying boat. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Kong Xuanyue's pretty face changed and she followed with a worried look. End of chapter. Chapter 3263. What happened? Why are you so worried? Kong Xuanyue's figure flashed as she came to Mo Qingyun's side and asked with concern. Hearing Kong Xuanyue's words, Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn as he said, "One of my servants is in danger, and I have to go and rescue him immediately. There might be danger ahead. Don't go with me." Mo Qingyun actually had good intentions when she said this. However, Kong Xuanyue's arrogant character would not think so. In her opinion, Mo Qingyun's words were a sign that he was looking down on her. "Humph." Kong Xianyue snorted and raised her head at Mo Qingyun. Although this young lady's cultivation isn't as high as Senior Sister Xuanin's, it's still much stronger than a quasi-great god like you. Don't think that you can look down on others just because you have a divine king realm ghost deity. I don't mind telling you that even if you have a divine king realm ghost deity, you might not be my opponent. Kong Xianyue continued to express her dissatisfaction with Mo Qingyun. Hearing Kong Xuanyue's words, Mo Qingyun felt a headache coming on. He did not want to argue with her and said, "If that's the case, you can follow me. However, if there is danger along the way, I won't be able to protect you." In Mo Qingyun's opinion, if Kong Xianyue went with him, he would have to hide some of his trump cards. In this case, unless he was in a desperate situation, he would not reveal all of his trump cards. "TSK, I don't need your protection. I just hope that you won't ask me for help when the time comes." Kong Xianyue did not care about Mo Qingyun's attitude as she followed Mo Qingyun curiously. Looking at her expression, it seemed that she would be able to watch a good show if she went with Mo Qingyun. As for whether she would be in danger or not, it was not a concern. Not to mention her strength. With her background and identity, ordinary people would not dare to touch her. After that, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue went to the place where Enchantment was. Along the way, seeing Mo Qingyun's solemn face and not saying a word, Kong Xianyue didn't ask. She could tell that the situation was quite serious. Just like that, Mo Qingyun and Li Wuyo traveled for several hours before they arrived in front of a huge mountain range. This bloodline fluctuation seems to belong to the Dark Heaven Holy Gate. Kong Xianyue stood in front of the mountain range. Her pretty face was tense as she looked around curiously. Kong Xuanyue's expression changed. She immediately thought of something and said in surprise, "When I was in Donglai City, I heard some people say that the Holy Ghost Sect Supreme Divinity Relic was unearthed. Could this be the location of the Supreme Divinity Relic?" In response to Kong Xuanyue's question, Mo Qingyun didn't hide it and nodded to her. After hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Kong Xuanyue's pretty face tensed up even more. She said, "You said that one of your servants is in danger. Could it be that your servant is from the Dark Heaven Holy Gate?" "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded. Mo Qingyun scanned his surroundings briefly before his figure flashed and he flew into the mountain range. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Kong Xianyue quickly followed and entered the mountain range. At this moment, Kong Xianyue looked at Mo Qingyun with even more curiosity and doubt. She didn't expect that someone from the Dark Heaven Holy Gate would recognize Mo Qingyun as his master. This was really too surprising. From this, it could be seen that Mo Qingyun's extraordinary means weren't as simple as they seemed on the surface. The mountain range in front of them was very big. Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue flew for half a day before they entered the inner area of the mountain range. Not long after entering the inner area of the mountain range, Mo Qingyun saw many people guarding and patrolling the area. If he wasn't wrong, these people should be guarding this place to capture and shun. As Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue approached, they were stopped by the people. One of the heavenly gods said coldly, "The two of you, this mountain range, is the territory of the Osinus sect. Our sect is capturing a wanted criminal. In order to avoid accidentally injuring you, please don't leave quickly." Hearing this person's words, Mo Qingyun frowned. He wanted to force his way through by force. Before Mo Qingyun could do anything, Kong Xuanyue's pretty face darkened. She scolded the people in front of her. "Humph, I don't care about your Osinus sect. I have something to do in the mountain range. Quickly retreat to the side." As Kong Xianyue spoke, a shocking bloodline power burst out from her body. Feeling Kong Xuanyue's bloodline aura, the people in front of her were shocked. They said, "Kong Xianyue Heaven's Sacred Clan. You are from the Kong Xianyue Heaven's Sacred Clan? Since you know, why don't you get out of my way immediately?" Kong Xianyue proudly raised her head, with an overbearing look on her face. Under the suppression of Kong Xuanyue's aura, the people in front of her panicked and instinctively moved out of the way. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't talk nonsense with them and directly flew into the mountain range. Mo Qingyun flew into the mountain range, and Kong Xianyue followed closely. She smiled proudly at Mo Qingyun and said, "Did you see that? It's very useful to let me follow you, right?" Mo Qingyun didn't say much to Kong Xuanyue's question and only nodded indifferently. Although he could still enter the inner area of the mountain range by killing a few people, If he did so, his whereabouts would be exposed. Now, with Kong Xuanyue's appearance, it would save him a lot of trouble. After entering the mountain range, Mo Qingyun communicated with Enchun and asked for his specific location. After a simple conversation with Enchun, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of his location. Immediately, Mo Qingyun went to meet up with Enchun and soon came to a ruin. Arriving in front of the ruin, Mo Qingyun sensed and found 3 divine king experts. 3 divine kings are here. Things are a little troublesome. Looking at the 3 divine kings in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression became tense. He was thinking how to go around them. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and made a decision. Wait a moment. I will let Gue Shan lure them away. If not all of them are lured away, you will help me lure the rest away. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Kong Xuanyue's face changed and said, Why should I listen to you? Mo Qingyun didn't reply to Kong Xuanyue's question and directly summoned Gue Shan Yangwulong. After summoning Gue Shan Yangwulong, Mo Qingyun ordered it to attack the 3 divine kings in front. Soon, the 3 divine kings were lured away and chased after Gue Shan Yangwulong. Seeing that the 3 divine kings were lured away, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and flew into the ruin. End of chapter. Chapter 3264. Bang! Kong Xuanyue, who was following closely behind Mo Qingyun, was repelled by a powerful force the moment she got close to the ruins. Kong Xuanyue was sent flying by the powerful force, and her blood tumbled inside her body. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's face tightened, and he immediately flew towards her. At this time, the 3 god kings who had been lured away earlier sensed the commotion. Without any hesitation, they chased after Mo Qingyun and Kong Xuanyue. As for Ghost God Yangwulong, who had ambushed them earlier, he was completely ignored. They were very clear that Ghost God Yangwulong's appearance had something to do with Mo Qingyun and Kong Xuanyue. As long as they captured Mo Qingyun and Kong Xuanyue, Ghost God Yangwulong was no longer a concern. Seeing the 3 god kings' arrival, Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn, and a trace of anxiousness appeared in his heart. If he was surrounded by 3 god kings, he would have to summon other ghost gods if he did not use the Gate of Sealing. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and decided not to expose these trump cards. He hurriedly said, Give up resisting, and I'll send you to a different place. While Mo Qingyun was speaking, he controlled the Fortune mainland and transferred Kong Xuanyue into it. Although Kong Xuanyue did not understand Mo Qingyun's words, she gave up resisting. Although she was not weak, if she joined forces with Mo Qingyun, they might not be a match for 3 god kings. Of course, Kong Xuanyue thought this way because she did not know Mo Qingyun's trump card. As Kong Xuanyue gave up resisting, Huang Xiaolong's figure flickered, and he disappeared from spot. After transferring Kong Xuanyue into the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun's figure did not stop as he entered the ruins. When Mo Qingyun entered the ruins, he did not forget about Ghost God Yangwulong, and he also sent him into the Fortune mainland. When Ghost God Yangwulong was sent away, the 3 god kings arrived. This brat actually managed to enter the ruins. It seems like he also has the bloodline of the Dark Heaven Holy Clan. Looking at where Mo Qingyun had entered the ruins, a golden-haired god king became tense. He said, Since he's from the sacred clan of Diablo, he's out of our control. Contact the god king of Black Shadow immediately and report the situation to him. Furthermore, the arrival of these 2 people should be related to that person. Since they entered from here, that person's hiding place should be near this exit. A hooded god king beside him immediately took out a communication jade talisman. Not long after, the hooded divine king immediately conveyed the situation regarding Mo Qingyun and Yishuan. Inside the historical remains, Mo Qingyun's vision blurred, and he entered the ruins. As he stood in the ruins, an ancient and vicissitude aura enveloped Mo Qingyun. Not only that, but Mo Qingyun also clearly felt some fluctuations in his bloodline. This feeling was as if there was something in this ruin that was attracting him. Let's find Dark Dawn first. Mo Qingyun glanced at his surroundings, and then his figure flashed as he hurried towards Enchen's location. The place where Dark Dawn was located was not particularly far from the place where Mo Qingyun had entered the ruins. Before long, Mo Qingyun found Dark Dawn hiding in a simple herb garden. "Master, please come with me." When Dark Dawn saw Mo Qingyun, he immediately called out to Mo Qingyun and walked towards a tunnel. Very soon, Mo Qingyun followed Dark Dawn into a hidden basement. When Mo Qingyun and Yi Shiwen arrived in the basement, the secret tunnel was closed. It covered a herb garden. Along the way, Mo Qingyun could clearly sense that Dark Dawn's aura was much more powerful than before. Quasi-God King. Mo Qingyun was surprised when he sensed Dark Dawn's aura. He was very surprised by how much Dark Dawn had improved. It had only been a few months, yet Dark Dawn's cultivation had skyrocketed to Quasi-God King. This rate of improvement was just too fast. At that moment, Mo Qingyun also understood why Dark Dawn was able to survive the pursuit of several God Kings. From Dark Dawn's current behavior, he was not injured at all apart from his aura being a little unstable. However, Dark Dawn's aura was unstable right now. It should have been caused by the skyrocketing of his cultivation, not his injuries. Mo Qingyun became curious after sensing Dark Dawn's situation. He asked what happened. "How did you find the pursuit of several God Kings?" Dark Dawn became tense when he heard Mo Qingyun's question. He said, "I was in Donglai City back then. I heard that the Ghoul Gate Hierarch's legacy of the Holy Clan of Diablo had been unearthed, so I decided to come and try my luck. After I arrived, I was blocked by many experts. Originally, I couldn't enter the ruin. Fortunately, I met Prince and Tao of the Holy Clan of Diablo and was brought into the ruin by him. Next, Dark Dawn roughly told everyone about his experience. About 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun roughly understood Dark Dawn's experience during this period of time, and Tao brought him into the ruin and gave Dark Dawn a few simple promises. As long as Dark Dawn helped him find the path and let him obtain the legacy successfully, he would bring Dark Dawn back to the Holy Clan of Diablo and nurture him greatly. Soon after, Dark Dawn constantly explored the path for Tao, allowing him to avoid all dangers. Perhaps Dark Dawn's luck was good, but he did not encounter any danger in the following exploration. Instead, he gained benefits time and time again. And Tao and the others were dissatisfied with this situation. They scolded Dark Dawn several times. However, they did not do anything to Dark Dawn in order to let him continue exploring. Not long ago, we found a place of the Ghoul Gate Hierarch's legacy. We still let Dark Dawn explore the path for them. However, when they were not paying attention, Dark Dawn took the Ghoul Gate Hierarch's legacy for himself. Since Dark Dawn had taken the Ghoul Gate Hierarch's legacy, and Tao and the others naturally would not let him go. After learning about Dark Dawn's matter, Mo Qingyun revealed a complicated expression and said, "You're really bold. You actually dared to snatch food from the tiger's mouth." Dark Dawn smiled faintly at Mo Qingyun's teasing and said, "Although the danger was great, the harvest was also amazing." Indeed, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "Although the situation is not good now, based on the harvest this time, the risk is very worth it. Your aura is very unstable. I'll send you to the Fortune mainland first to stabilize your cultivation. We'll talk about other things later." "Okay," Dark Dawn replied. At the same time, Dark Dawn took out a mirror and handed it to Mo Qingyun. He said, "This is the Origin Heaven peeking mirror. It can see everything in the ruin. Hold it in your hand, and you can easily avoid any pursuers." Mo Qingyun nodded and took the Origin Heaven peeking mirror. He sent Dark Dawn to the Fortune mainland. End of chapter. Chapter 3265. Inside the Fortune mainland. Entering the Fortune mainland, Kong Xuanyue's face was filled with surprise, and she looked around curiously. She did not expect that Mo Qingyun would send her to a mainland. Where is this place? Kong Xianhua looked around, and her brows furrowed as she thought to herself, this guy is getting more and more mysterious. He actually has this kind of ability. This world is strange. Although the level is not very high, and the energy of heaven and earth is weak, the level of origin laws is ridiculously high, even higher than the heavenly world's origin laws. Noticing the abnormality of the Fortune mainland, Kong Xuanyue's face tensed up, and she prepared to walk around and take a look. But what surprised Kong Xianyue was that, just as she took a step forward, her body was blocked by a force. Then, a transparent light screen appeared in front of Kong Xianyue. Seeing the light screen in front of her, Kong Xuanyue's face changed slightly, and she turned to walk in another direction. Before Kong Xianyue could walk far, another light screen appeared, blocking her path. Soon, Kong Xianyue discovered that she was trapped in an area. This situation made Kong Xianyue unhappy, and she said, "What did this guy do? What kind of place did you send me to? You actually trapped me here." While Kong Xianyue was feeling unhappy, she began to gather her god force and bombarded the light screen that trapped her. Under Kong Xuanyue's attack, waves of god force bombarded the light screen in front of her. Boom, boom, boom. A series of loud explosions sounded. The light screen that was bombarded by Kong Xuanyue's attacks shook violently. But what surprised Kong Xianyue was that the light screen was not damaged at all under her full-strength attack. How could this be? Seeing that the light screen was not damaged at all, Kong Xuanyue's beautiful eyes widened in shock. She did not expect that the light screen in front of her would be so strong that it was fine after receiving her attack. While Kong Xianyue was shocked, her curiosity began to grow stronger. She said, "Where is this place? What's going on with this light screen? Who is that kid?" At this moment, Kong Xuanyue's heart was filled with all kinds of strong curiosity. After pondering for a while, Kong Xianyue didn't think too much about it. Instead, she started shouting, "Bastard, where is this place? Hurry up and get me back. Can you hear me? Hey, say something." The more Mo Qingyun did not answer, the angrier Kong Xianyue became. In the ghoul sect's supreme god ruins, Mo Qingyun held the Origin Heaven spying mirror and carefully examined it. After a simple inspection of the Origin Heaven spying mirror, Mo Qingyun released his origin source laws and sent them into the Origin Heaven spying mirror. Shortly after, a scene entered Mo Qingyun's consciousness, presenting the situation within the ruins. When they saw such a scene, they finally understood why Enchun was able to avoid being hunted down. This Origin Heaven spying mirror is truly a good item. Mo Qingyun sighed in his heart after witnessing the miraculous effects of the Origin Heaven spying mirror. After a simple observation of the situation in the remnant, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of his situation. At present, there were a total of 7 groups of people in the remnant searching for something. It seemed that some of them were looking for people, while others were looking for inheritances. 7 groups of people. After a simple observation of the remnant and learning about the situation within the remnant, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and thought, it seems that the internal factions of the Dark Heaven Holy Clan are also very messy. Mo Qingyun could see that the 7 groups of people in the remnant were not in the same camp. This was because when they met, they were all in a tit-for-tat posture. After observing these people for a while, Mo Qingyun became curious and continued to observe the other parts of the ruins. He thought to himself, as a godly venerable, Ghoul Sect's divine venerable must have countless treasures in his ruins. Maybe I can get some benefits. With this thought, Mo Qingyun heard of the Origin Heaven spying mirror to check the situation inside the remnant. Under Mo Qingyun's observation, he found a strong fluctuation of formation power in a corner of the remnant. This fluctuation of formation power seems to be a destroyed transmission channel. Mo Qingyun's curiosity was piqued when he discovered the source of the ripples. He became interested in the teleportation channel and said, "Judging from the aura of this channel, it must be at least a God Emperor level array to produce such ripples of array energy. A place guarded by an Emperor God level formation must be very complicated." I can go and check it out. Immediately, Mo Qingyun put away the origin heaven spying mirror and rushed towards the location of the formation. After about half an hour, Mo Qingyun arrived at the location of the formation and released his divine sense to observe the formation. Under Mo Qingyun's divine sense, an aura that shocked him entered his divine sense. This aura is the aura of the holy clan of Kong Xian Heaven. After perceiving the aura in the transmission channel, Mo Qingyun was shocked and found it hard to believe. In order to make sure that his perception was correct, Mo Qingyun decided to call out Kong Xianyue and let her confirm it further. Kong Xianyue doesn't have the darkness heavenly holy gates bloodline. I wonder if she will be in danger here. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and summoned a demonic beast from the Fortune mainland to verify his guess. Soon, Mo Qingyun's guess was delayed. His worries were unnecessary. In order to enter the remnant, one needed to have the darkness heavenly holy gates bloodline. Once inside, without the darkness heavenly holy gates bloodline, there wouldn't be any danger. After dispelling his worries, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much and immediately called out Kong Xianyue. Kong Xianyue's figure flashed and appeared beside Mo Qingyun. She hurriedly asked Mo Qingyun, "Bastard, where did you put me? I was trapped for a few hours." Kong Xianyue appeared beside Mo Qingyun. Her face was filled with anger, and she constantly blamed Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Kong Xianyue's anger. He pointed at the transmission channel and said, "Let's talk about the previous matter later. Release your divine sense and sense this transmission channel. It seems to be related to the holy clan of Kong Xian Heaven." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Kong Xianyue stopped making noise and shifted her attention to the transmission channel. Soon after, she released her divine sense and sensed the transmission channel. After a while, Kong Xianyue's face became serious, and she said, "There is indeed the aura of the holy clan of Kong Xian Heaven inside this transmission channel. That's strange. Isn't this the inheritance of the Ghost Gates, Supreme God? How could it be related to the holy clan of Kong Xian Heaven? Could it be a legend?" Kong Xianyue's face suddenly revealed a look of shock as if she had made a major discovery. End of chapter. Chapter 3266. What did you think of? Seeing Kong Xianyue's expression, Mo Qingyun was curious and immediately asked her. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Kong Xianyue thought for a moment and frowned. "When I was very young, I heard a story from the elders in the clan. I didn't pay much attention to it before, but now I think that the story might be related to the supreme divinity of the ghost sect." When Kong Xianyue said this, the curiosity on Mo Qingyun's face became even stronger. Under Mo Qingyun's curious gaze, Kong Xianyue said with a serious expression, "I remember that at that time, grandmother seemed to have said." At this moment, when Kong Xianyue was about to continue, Mo Qingyun's expression became serious. "Someone is coming. Let's leave here immediately." As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he took Kong Xianyue's hand and prepared to take her away. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Kong Xianyue's beautiful eyes widened and a strong sense of shock emerged in her eyes. Mo Qingyun actually grabbed her hand. She had never been so intimate with a man in her life. Suddenly, a strong sense of shame and anger grew in her heart. Before Kong Xianyue could recover from her shock, a group of people appeared in front of them and blocked their way. When this group of people arrived, they surrounded Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue, and a strong sense of surprise emerged in their eyes. A girl from the mysterious Heaven Sacred clan actually came in. This is really surprising. Previously, I received news from Atao that someone has broken in. It should be them. The power of this kid's bloodline is actually much stronger than mine. It's not inferior to the prince's. I don't think I've seen him in the clan before. Where did this kid come from? After sizing up Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun for a while, everyone revealed curious expressions. They were interested in their origins. While everyone was sizing up Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue, A youth in a black dragon robe at the front of the group said coldly, "When I was a child, I once heard a story from Wang Zhu, a legendary zither story that shocked the heavens and shocked the gods. At that time, I felt that it was unbelievable and a little unrealistic, but now it seems that I was right. The two of you came here together, and it just so happened that the supreme divinity relic of the ghost sect was unearthed. It seems that this is not a coincidence." Hearing this person's words, the shock in Mo Qingyun's heart immediately became stronger. At the same time, he became more curious about this story. It seemed that there was a big secret hidden, and it involved a very important matter. Before Mo divinity relic, the supreme divinity relic of the mysterious clan, the supreme divinity relic of the clan. What's your relationship with the supreme divinity relic of the 1,000 illusions? It couldn't be helped. He knew nothing about the supreme divinity relic of the ghost sect and the supreme divinity relic of the 1,000 illusions, so he didn't know where to start. Why should I tell you? Kong Xianyue snorted, and with a proud expression, she directly rejected the other party. Kong Xuanyue's attitude didn't surprise Mo Qingyun at all. Her personality was like this. In comparison, her attitude towards Mo Qingyun before was already considered very polite. Seeing Kong Xuanyue's attitude, an old man behind the young man in the black dragon robe slowly walked forward and said, "Prince Yu, looking at this girl's attitude, I'm afraid she's not willing to cooperate. Let this old servant capture her and bring her back for interrogation. In addition, this girl is as beautiful as a flower. Prince Yu, you can also enjoy her." Hearing the old man's words, the young man in the black dragon robe smiled faintly and nodded. "The only one who can win my heart is Marshal Enting." After replying, he signaled for Enting to take action. Enting's figure moved. He rushed towards Kong Xianyue and attacked her with his palm. Seeing Enting's attack, Kong Xuanyue's face trembled and a trace of panic flashed in her eyes. Although her cultivation had reached the quasi-divine king realm, she didn't have much combat experience. She didn't even have many battles. Now, facing Enting, a divine king realm expert, her lack of experience was shown. Seeing Kong Xuanyue's action, Enting sneered complacently as if he had already defeated Kong Xianyue. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that Kong Xianyue didn't have much experience. In this way, it would be very easy for them to deal with Kong Xianyue. While Enting was feeling complacent, he glanced at Mo Qingyun and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. Immediately, his body moved slightly as if he was going to attack Mo Qingyun. Divine Thunder Dragon Transformation Wave. Seeing Kong Xuanyue's action, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately used his divine skill. Immediately, a pure divine power erupted from Mo Qingyun's body. When the divine power erupted, it fused with the threads of law and turned into a huge black lightning dragon. Roar! The black lightning dragon let out a low roar and charged toward the dark celestial in a flash. Sensing the black lightning dragon's attack, Enting narrowed his eyes and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect that with Mo Qingyun's cultivation, he would dare to take the initiative to attack a divine king. What made him unhappy was that Mo Qingyun's sudden attack had put him in a passive position. Originally, when he attacked Kong Xianyue, it was just a diversion. His real goal was to capture Mo Qingyun and use him to threaten Mo Qingyun. Kong Xuanyue's mental state was weak. If Mo Qingyun was captured, her mental state would immediately become unstable. At that time, with Enting's advantage in cultivation, it would be too easy to deal with her. But what surprised Enting was that before he could attack Mo Qingyun beat him to it. After using his divine skill on Enting, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately flew towards Kong Xianyue, saying, "Let's go into the teleportation channel." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he pulled Kong Xianyue towards the teleportation channel. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Kong Xuanyue's actions, Yu Yu's face sank, and he shouted to the people behind him, "All of you, stop the two of them and don't let them enter the teleportation channel." Hearing Yu Yu's order, The subordinates behind you rushed towards Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianwei. Under the pursuit of everyone, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianwei arrived in front of the teleportation channel and rushed inside. Bang! Suddenly, a loud sound was heard. When Mo Qingyun approached the teleportation channel, a shocking force hit him. Under the impact of this force, Mo Qingyun's body flew out, and he retreated dozens of steps before stopping. Seeing this situation, not only was Mo Qingyun dumbfounded, but even Yu and the others were dumbfounded. After a short moment of being dumbfounded, Yu and the others sneered proudly. End of chapter. Chapter 3267. Mo Qingyun fled towards the teleportation channel, but was blocked by the channel's array formation. This result surprised Yu and the others. It was something they had never expected. Soon, Mo Qingyun was once again surrounded at the entrance of the teleportation channel. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was unable to enter the channel, Yu and the others were not in a hurry and did not immediately attack him. Unsurprisingly, the place this teleportation channel was connected to should be related to the Kong Xian Heaven Holy Clan. To enter this teleportation channel, one must have the bloodline of the Kong Xian Heaven Holy Clan. Mo Qingyun's body did not have the bloodline of the Kong Xian Heaven Holy Clan, so naturally he could not enter. Boy, didn't you want to enter the channel to escape? Why did you come out after reaching the entrance? Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Yu had a smug look on his face. He pointed to the teleportation channel in front of him and said, "Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. If you can enter the channel, then you have the ability. But if you can't do it, then don't blame me. I'll give you 10 breaths of time. I hope you can make good use of it." As Yu spoke, he crossed his arms, looking as if he had Mo Qingyun in his grasp. Could Mo Qingyun enter the teleportation channel? The answer was obviously impossible. Hearing Yu's smug words, Mo Qingyun frowned, hesitating whether to summon the demon god. Looking at the current situation, if he wanted to get out of this dangerous situation, he had to expose some of his trump cards. In addition, Kong Xianwei had entered the teleportation channel, so he had nothing to worry about. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to summon the demon god, Kong Xianwei, who had entered the channel, came out again with a worried look on her face. Seeing Kong Xianwei come out, Mo Qingyun suddenly had a headache and hurriedly said, "Why did you come back?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, there was a trace of dissatisfaction in Kong Xianwei's heart. Kong Xianwei pouted slightly and said unhappily, "Good intentions are rewarded. I came out to help you out of kindness, but you treat me like this. If I didn't come out with your strength, are you their opponent?" Listening to Kong Xianwei's complaints, Mo Qingyun was speechless. What this girl said was very reasonable. Just based on his superficial strength, he was indeed no match for Yu and the others. Moreover, Kong Xianwei came out of the transmission channel to help him out of goodwill. Seeing Kong Xianwei come out again, Yu was immediately overjoyed. A bright smile appeared on his face as he said, "Originally, I was still worried that this girl would enter the transmission channel and there would be no way to capture her again. I didn't expect her to come out again. It seems that this prince's luck is not bad." While Yu was speaking, he looked at Kong Xianwei with a hint of lust in his eyes. Sensing Yu's gaze, Kong Xianwei's pretty face sank, and anger appeared in her beautiful eyes. If it weren't for the situation, she would have dug out Yu's eyeballs. Compared to the metaphor, although Mo Qingyun was a bit of a bully, at least he was a decent person. 10 breaths of time passed quickly. Seeing that the time given to Mo Qingyun was up, Yu didn't say any more nonsense. He directly waved to Encho and said, 10 breaths of time is up. Since you don't want to seize the opportunity, don't blame me." Receiving Yu's instructions, Encho and the others rushed towards Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianwei. Seeing Encho and the others coming, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately summoned Ghost God Yang Guolong and said, "I will stop this person. You deal with the others." Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Kong Xianwei immediately responded and went to deal with the others. Immediately, the battle was about to start. Both sides fought fiercely. Seeing the appearance of ghost god Yang Wolong, Yu and the others were shocked. Divine King Realm Ghost God. I didn't expect this kid to have such a trump card in his hand. No wonder this kid didn't panic when facing us. And Cho and the others were surprised and thought more highly of Mo Qingyun. Although Mo Qingyun's cultivation wasn't high, he could control a Divine King Realm Ghost God. Therefore, he couldn't be underestimated. Not only that, but it would be difficult for them to capture Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue under the protection of the Divine King Realm Ghost God. Looking at Ghost God Yang Wolong, Yi was excited. It's a Divine King Realm Ghost God. He can control a Divine King Realm Ghost God with his quasi-great Divine Realm cultivation. Rumor has it that the Divine King of the Ghoul sect is proud of the ability to summon ghost gods to battle. It seems that this kid has a great relationship with the Divine King of the Ghoul sect. It's very likely that he has obtained the true inheritance of the Divine King of the Ghoul sect. The inheritance of the Divine King of the Ghoul sect that the previous person obtained was just a cover. The more Yu thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. Thinking of this, Yu didn't dare to hesitate and immediately shouted to Enju and the others. This kid may be related to the inheritance of the Divine King of the Ghoul sect. Capture him alive for me. Don't let him escape. Hearing Yu's order, Enju and the others were a little embarrassed, but they still nodded and agreed. Compared to Enju and the others who were having a headache, Mo Qingyun didn't panic. Since Enju and the others didn't dare to kill him, what else was there to be afraid of? Just as Mo Qingyun was thinking about how to fight back, Yu's figure flashed and attacked Kong Xianyue. Little beauty, let this prince spar with you and exchange feelings. Yu wasn't weak. He was also a quasi-god king, and his strength was comparable to an ordinary weak divine king. Kong Xianyue's strength wasn't weak and wasn't much weaker than Yu. If Kong Xianyue fought with Yu alone, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage. But now that she was besieged by everyone, her situation was a little bad. She can't hold on much longer. Seeing Kong Xianyue's situation, Mo Qingyun frowned and summoned a quasi-god king Realm Ghost Immortal. As for the God King Realm Ghost Immortal, he didn't summon it. The current situation wasn't obvious, so he couldn't expose his trump card at once. When the quasi-god King Realm Ghost Immortal was ready to be summoned, it quickly joined the battle and relieved Kong Xianyue's pressure. Kong Xianyue's pressure was reduced. She looked at Mo Qingyun with dissatisfaction and said, "You still have other ghost immortals. Why didn't you summon them together?" I almost couldn't resist. Hearing Kong Xianyue's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "I heard your tone before. I thought it wouldn't be difficult for you to deal with them, so I didn't summon them." Kong Xianyue was speechless. Mo Qingyun actually thought so. He overestimated her. Seeing the quasi-god king realm ghost immortal join in, Yu and the others' expressions immediately became serious. In the current situation, the addition of a quasi-god king realm ghost immortal had huge impact. While Yu was shocked, the way he looked at Mo Qingyun also underwent a huge change. The greed in his eyes became more and more intense. He felt that the possibility of Mo Qingyun obtaining the real hierarch Ghost Immortal's inheritance was greater. End of this chapter. Chapter 3268. At this moment, as the two sides fought, waves of powerful auras approached from all directions. Sensing this situation, Mo Qingyun and Yu's expressions became tense. Their battle attracted the attention of the others. Soon, several groups of people arrived under the watchful eyes of Mo Qingyun, and Yun, seeing these people arrive, Yu and the others stopped and looked at the others with fear. In the current situation, if they continued to fight with Mo Qingyun, it would only allow others to reap the benefits. Kong Xuantian's sacred tribe. How did Kong Xuantian's sacred tribe enter the ruins? Is this a divine king realm ghost god? When these people arrived, their attention fell on Mo Qingyun and Yuan, seeing that everyone was looking at them. Mo Qingyun quickly retreated with Kong Xianwei. There were Divine King realm experts among the two forces that had arrived. If they fought with them, they would definitely expose their trump cards. Soon, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianwei retreated to the entrance of the teleportation passage and looked at the crowd warily. No one paid any attention to Mo Qingyun and Kong Xuanyue's actions and just surrounded them. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue couldn't escape in this situation. And Tao and Ke, these two were mine. Don't meddle in other people's business. Looking at the two pleas in front of him, Yu Yu's expression was dark as he warned them coldly. However, Tao and Ke didn't take his words to heart at all. The two of them curled their lips in disdain. And Tao was the first to speak. Yu, you are not qualified to give us orders. As soon as Tao finished speaking, Ke looked at Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun with a curious expression and said, "And you, with your personality of not getting up early without benefits, I'm sure there must be something on these two that you value." Yu Yu's expression tensed up when he heard Ke's words. He could tell that it would be impossible for Tao and Ke to leave. When he saw Yu Yu's nervous expression, he was even more certain of his guess. Then, he paid even more attention to Mo Qingyun and Li Qiye. He then sized up Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun before his gaze landed on the demon god. He said, "I once read in an ancient book in my clan that the supreme divinity of the demon sect can summon the demon god to do battle. This kid is only at the quasi-great god realm, but he can control the divine king realm ghost deity. Could he be related to the ultimate god of Ghoul sect? If he is related to the supreme divinity of Ghoul's Gate, it would be natural for you to care so much about him." And Bo's analysis made Tao nod his head continuously. He felt that this was very likely the case. Soon after, Tao smiled sinisterly as he looked at Mo Qingyun with a meaningful gaze. From the looks of it, as long as we capture these two, perhaps all the secrets of the ruins will be revealed. As for the person who obtained the inheritance before, it might not be the real inheritance. It might just be a small opportunity. After Tao's analysis, his interest in Chun immediately weakened. After listening to Tao's explanation, Yu Yu's expression changed slightly. He smiled faintly and said, "Also, look at the girl beside him. She has the bloodline of the sacred clan in Kong Xiantian. Now that she has appeared here, it is very likely that she is related to this transportation channel. In that case, if we capture the two of them, all the secrets of this place will be revealed." And Tao and Bo's conversation made Yu Yu's expression darken even more. He hadn't expected that Tao and Bo, who were so difficult to deal with, would actually know about this secret. Mo Qingyun and Li Qiye exchanged glances when they saw Tao and the other two's reactions. They were a little dumbfounded. Was that really the case? Although Mo Qingyun was speechless at their guesses, he didn't try to defend himself. Firstly, the three of them might not listen or believe him if he tried to defend himself. Secondly, he hoped that the three of them would get into a conflict so that they could find an opportunity to break out. Then, Mo Qingyun looked at the three parties and tried to think of a way to solve the problem. Looking at Mo Qingyun and Li Qiye, Tao smiled faintly and looked at the darkened Yu Yu. "Yu, before the others arrive, let's join forces and capture this kid. When the time comes, we'll split the treasures equally. How about that? Otherwise, if we get into a fight, it won't be good for anyone." And Tao's words were obviously a threat to Yu Yu. Although he was very dissatisfied with Tao's actions, Yu Yu was helpless and knew that he could only compromise. Immediately, the three of them discussed how to divide the work and distribute the following benefits. Seeing the actions of the three parties, Mo Qingyun shook his head. "You guys seem to be celebrating too early. Have you asked for my opinion before dealing with me like this?" Seeing that the three of them were about to cooperate, Mo Qingyun revealed his trump card and prepared to deal with them. Although the three parties weren't weak, it wasn't difficult for Mo Qingyun to deal with them. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yu Yu and the others were dumbfounded. At this point, Mo Qingyun was already a fish on the chopping board, and they still had objections. After being stunned for a short while, Xiao smiled playfully and said, why don't you tell me what you think of us? Yu and the other two looked sideways at Mo Qingyun. Under the gaze of the three, Mo Qingyun shrugged and said, "My idea is very simple. Since the three of you are splitting the treasures equally, why don't you cooperate with me and split it equally with me? If I'm not wrong, you should be rivals in the clan, right? Are you willing to give each other a chance to become stronger?" Mo Qingyun's words seemed simple, but it made Tao and the others' expressions change. If they had a choice, they would rather cooperate with Mo Qingyun. Soon, Tao and the other two quietly communicated with Mo Qingyun. After learning of their actions, the smile on Mo Qingyun's face immediately became wider. "Boy, you're too naive if you want to use this method to drive a wedge between us. Do you think we're 3-year-old children who would fall for your tricks? If you know what's good for you, you'd better cooperate obediently, lest we attack you." The three of them were secretly in a corner with Mo Qingyun, but on the surface, they were putting on a show. Looking at their performance, Kong Xianyue looked nervous, thinking that Mo Qingyun's attempt to drive a wedge between them had failed. "What do we do now? Your idea has been seen through." Hearing Kong Xianyue's worried words, Mo Qingyun smiled deeply and gave her a comforting look. His idea had been seen through? Not necessarily. Moreover, so what if it was seen through? With Mo Qingyun's words, they had already formed a separation and reuniting, so they could only display a little bit of their strength if they guarded against each other. No matter what Yu and the others thought, Mo Qingyun's goal had been achieved. Furthermore, the three of them were communicating with him through their souls. End of chapter. Chapter 3269. At this moment, the people who were angrily scolding Mo Qingyun suddenly moved. At this moment, their target was not Mo Qingyun, but the other people of the same clan. Bang, bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, the people of the three sides were fighting with each other. Seeing the other party's actions, Yu and Ku and Tao were immediately enraged to the extreme. Unexpectedly, they all accepted Mo Qingyun's suggestion and chose to attack others. "You guys are so insidious to sneak attack me. And Tao, don't talk nonsense, aren't you the same? Aren't you afraid that others will take advantage of you?" Seeing the other party's actions, Yu and the other two's faces darkened, and they all angrily rebuked the other party. However, while they were rebuking others, their attacks did not weaken. Soon, the degree of their ruthlessness immediately became more intense. In just a short moment, several heavenly god-level followers had suffered serious injuries. Seeing such a scene, Kong Xianyue, who was beside Mo Qingyun, widened her beautiful eyes and said, How is this possible? Didn't they all scold you just now? Why did they suddenly attack people of the same clan?" At this moment, a strong sense of confusion arose in Kong Xianyue's heart. The situation in front of her made her feel very puzzled, and it was very different from what she had imagined. Seeing Kong Xianyue's surprise, Mo Qingyun said with a faint smile, "If they cooperate with me, not only will they get better benefits, but they will also be able to suppress their opponents, so they will naturally choose to cooperate with me." After hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation, Kong Xianyue nodded her head in understanding. Indeed, as long as the benefits were big enough, father and son may turn against each other. Looking at the three sides fighting desperately, Kong Xianyue's pretty face tensed up, and she turned to Mo Qingyun and said, "Now that they are fighting each other, I'm afraid they won't have the energy to deal with us. How about we take the opportunity to escape?" Mo Qingyun shook his head and rejected Kong Xianyue's suggestion. He was very clear that at this moment, he absolutely could not leave. Once he was ready to escape, it would attract the attention of the three forces, and they would form a united front again. If that was the case, all his previous efforts would have been in vain. Seeing Mo Qingyun watching the battle from the side, without any intention of joining in, metaphor, and the other two were a little anxious. After a short period of fighting, the casualties of the three sides began to rise rapidly. If this continued, it was possible that both sides would suffer, and Mo Qingyun would be able to take advantage of the situation. Thinking of such an outcome, Yu, who was the most cunning of the three, hurriedly urged Mo Qingyun, Mo Qingyun, since you want to cooperate with me, show some sincerity and help me deal with these two parties immediately. As soon as Yu's words fell, and Tao and Enku were not to be outdone. They immediately urged Mo Qingyun, Mo Qingyun, if you don't help me, I'll attack you. You want to take advantage of the situation? Dream on. The two of you, why don't we make a move against Mo Qingyun while our casualties aren't too high? As Metaphorical Metaphor and the others discussed, their attacks weakened significantly. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly. If this continues, my plan will fall through. I can't let them join forces again. Mo Qingyun made a decision. He would help Tao in this battle. Although joining forces with one party would antagonize the other two, it was still better than dealing with all three. In addition, compared to Metaphorical Metaphor and Enku, Tao was less scheming and easier to deal with. Immediately, Mo Qingyun's figure moved, and he controlled the specters to charge into the battle. A Godly King Realm Ghost Immortal and a Quasi-Godly King Realm Ghost Immortal joined the battle. The situation immediately changed. Metaphorical Metaphor and Enku's forces quickly fell into a passive position. Seeing that Mo Qingyun's side had joined forces, Metaphorical Metaphor said to Enku, Enku, Mo Qingyun and Tao have joined forces. If we don't, we'll be annihilated one by one. How about we join forces? All right. Enku agreed without hesitation when he heard Metaphorical Metaphor's suggestion. Immediately, they joined forces to contend with Mo Qingyun and Tao's forces. As Metaphorical Metaphor and the others joined forces, the situation quickly reached a stalemate. For a moment, although everyone was locked in battle, no one could do anything to the other. Mo Qingyun didn't care about this situation. If they were in a stalemate like this, they could slowly deplete their fighting strength. When their fighting strength was almost exhausted, he'd reveal some of his trump cards and take them all down. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun was no longer in a hurry. He symbolically exchanged blows with everyone. Mo Qingyun wasn't in a hurry, but that didn't mean that Metaphorical Metaphor and the others were. Seeing that the situation was in a stalemate, Yu was a little anxious. With a strong anger in his voice, he said, Tao, do you have to make things difficult for everyone? Will you only be happy if everyone doesn't get any benefits? If we keep fighting like this, the others will be attracted and no one will benefit. Enku's expression tensed when he heard Metaphorical Metaphor's words. Let's join forces first and take down this kid to prevent any more unforeseen event from happening. Don't forget that Metaphorical Metaphor targeted this kid first. He didn't take him down in time, which led us here. Yu and Enku's persuasion moved in Tao's heart, and his expression became a little uncertain. Seeing in Tao's expression, Mo Qingyun frowned. The situation isn't looking good, and Tao seems to be a little tempted. Mo Qingyun noticed this, and his mind began to turn, thinking of how to resolve the situation. As Mo Qingyun thought about it, he immediately came up with a plan. He knew what he should do. Immediately, Mo Qingyun controlled the demons and began to attack Tao and the others. Bang, bang, bang. Mo Qingyun's sudden attack surprised Tao and the others. In the blink of an eye, several people were injured. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Tao's expression trembled. He glared angrily and shouted, Kid, you're courting death. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Tao's anger at all. He smiled faintly at Metaphorical Metaphor. Metaphorical Metaphor, I'll help you deal with this guy. Enku, you'll have to rely on yourself. I'll play along with you. Don't forget to give me some benefits when we get rid of two troublesome opponents. If I hadn't discussed this with you beforehand, I would have put on a wonderful show with you. I almost believe the situation you described just now. Mo Qingyun didn't wait for Metaphorical Metaphor to refute him and attacked Tao and the others. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Tao and Enku's expressions immediately darkened to the extreme. They would rather believe Mo Qingyun's words to be true than to believe them to be false. End of chapter. Chapter 3270. You sinister and despicable guy. Let's wait and see. You actually colluded with outsiders and plotted against us. I will definitely report this to the clan. And Tao and Nku were furious as they scolded Yu loudly. Hearing in Tao's and Nku's reactions, Yu was furious and his face turned ashen. He had fallen into Mo Qingyun's trap. More importantly, Tao and Nku had fallen into his trap. Therefore, they bore a grudge against him. In other words, from the beginning until now, they had been tricked by Mo Qingyun. When Yu thought of this, the way he looked at Mo Qingyun changed drastically. Mo Qingyun was very difficult to deal with. Are you stupid? He is deliberately driving a wedge between us. Can't you see that? Facing the siege of Tao's forces, Yu was flustered and exasperated. He angrily rebuked Nju and Nju. Although Tao and the others had been injured by Mo Qingyun's sneak attack, their combat strength was not affected much. In addition, they had joined forces with Nku and the others. Yu naturally could not contend against them. Looking at this situation, Kong Xianyue was stunned again. She felt that her brain was not enough to process this. In the blink of an eye, the three of them were fighting again. More importantly, Mo Qingyun had retreated from the battle circle and continued to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, waiting to reap the benefits. After a brief moment of surprise, Kong Xianyue looked at Mo Qingyun with some admiration. With just a few words, he had toyed with his opponents. This method was too terrifying. While Kong Xianyue was admiring him, she also had some worries. If you do this, if they wake up, will they take revenge on you even more crazily? Don't worry, they won't do that. Mo Qingyun shook his head with a certain expression. Do you really think that Tao and Nku can't see through my thoughts? They are not fools. It's just that they knew what I was thinking, yet they still attacked Yu. They just wanted to use this as an excuse to get rid of Yu. Listening to Mo Qingyun's explanation, Kong Xianyue nodded and understood the reason for Mo Qingyun's success. The reason why Mo Qingyun was able to drive a wedge between them so easily was because he was implying that they were all on guard against each other. Kong Xianyue continued. What do we do next? Could it be that he's been observing all this time? Mo Qingyun looked at the teleportation channel and took out the Origin Heaven peeking mirror. He scanned it briefly and said, more people are approaching. When these people arrive, it will be difficult for me to drive a wedge between them. Let's leave this place before those people arrive. It would be best if we could enter the teleportation channel. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun walked towards the portal and tried to figure out how to enter it. Although Yu and the others sensed Mo Qingyun's actions, they did not stop him. Just now, when Mo Qingyun wanted to enter the teleportation channel, he was forcefully ejected. It was not like they did not see it. Mo Qingyun raised his hand and reached towards the teleportation channel. Soon, he felt a force resisting him. It seems that I can't force my way in. Sensing the resistance of the teleportation channel, Mo Qingyun understood and began to think of other ways. Mo Qingyun's heart moved. He had an idea. He took out a flying boat and handed it to Kong Xianyue and said, keep this flying boat and enter the teleportation channel with it later. Oh. Although she did not understand Mo Qingyun's intention, Kong Xianyue nodded and agreed. At this moment, Kong Xianyue had just received the flying boat when a powerful aura approached. More people were coming. Seeing this situation, the three people who were fighting stopped fighting. At the same time, their gazes became colder and angrier. Now that more people had been attracted over, they would not be able to reap any benefits. It's so lively here. The leader of this group of people was a young girl with black hair and blue eyes. She exuded a charming temperament. And Tao and the other two's faces immediately darkened when they saw the arrival of this woman. And Tao looked coldly at the girl, and his expression gradually became tense. Dark Siyu, this has nothing to do with you. Get out of my sight immediately. Dark Siyu was not angry at Tao's rebuke. She smiled and said, Brother Tao, It's just a dark source, exquisite jade. Don't be so stingy, okay? Humph. And Tao snorted and ignored Dark Yu. Seeing that Tao didn't speak, and Yu looked at Yu and smiled. Brother Yu, you're the best. Tell me, why are the three of you fighting? Hearing Dark Yu's question, Yu turned his head and didn't answer her. Dark Yu did not care about Yu's action and looked at Nku. Before Nku could speak, another group of people arrived. They were led by a strong young man. The young man showed a domineering attitude when he arrived. It seems like I came just in time. It seems like the ownership of the treasure has not been decided yet. Don't talk nonsense. Take out the treasure and we'll divide it equally. Dark Yu and the others' expressions changed when they heard the young man's words. At the same time, intense fear emerged in the eyes of all of them. Not only that, but at this moment, the gazes of Yu and the others all turned to Mo Qingyun. Immediately, everyone's attention fell on Mo Qingyun, a quasi-divine monarch from the mysterious sky sacred clan and a quasi-divine monarch from the dark sky sacred clan. Interesting. As he glanced at Mo Qingyun and Luo Yunyang, the sturdy young man's lips curled into a mocking smile. Immediately, a strong aura burst out from his body and pressed down on Mo Qingyun and Tao. Chapter 32:71. Kong Xinhua was gone. She had entered the portal. This meant that Enwuye's attack was unable to stop her. Yu and the others were dumbfounded. They couldn't accept this reality. Mo Qingyun and Kong Xinhua had escaped under the siege of so many of them. This showed that they had failed. And Tao, it's all your fault for cooperating with Mo Qingyun. How can you blame me? Didn't you two want to cooperate with him too? It's all Yu's fault for not accepting our suggestion earlier. Oomph. If it weren't for you two, I would have taken him down. The few of them argued endlessly. Compared to Yu and the others' anger, Enwuye and the others were calm. For them, letting Mo Qingyun and Kong Xinhua escape didn't affect them much. Anyway, it was a good thing for them that Yu and the others didn't get any benefits. Otherwise, if the three of them reaped the benefits and their strength increased greatly, they would be a great threat to them. What should we do next? Are we going to stay here forever? Everyone was silent for a moment. Dark Yu blinked her eyes and looked at the four people in front of her. Hearing Dark Yu's question, Enwuye looked at the portal and said, "These two entered the portal. We don't know if they'll survive. It's not worth wasting time on them. That guy called Enchun got the inheritance of the Ghoul sect supreme god. He's my real target." Enwuye's figure flashed as he left with his subordinates. Dark Serene frowned as she looked at Enwuye. She looked at Yu and the others. Dark Yu hesitated for a moment, then left with her men. In her opinion, it wasn't a wise decision to waste time on Mo Qingyun and Kong Xinhua. More importantly, from Yu and the others' reaction, it seemed like they were going to stay outside the portal. That way, even if she stayed, she wouldn't get much benefit. Seeing Enwuye and Kong Xinhua leave, Yu's face darkened. He looked at Tao and Kong Xinhua and said coldly, "What are you two doing here? Why aren't you leaving with your men?" At this moment, Yu's heart was filled with rage. However, due to the strength of these two people, there was nothing he could do. Hearing Yu's words, and Xiao hesitated for a moment before saying, "Given that kid's methods, it won't be easy to get any benefits from him. Let's find another prey." As soon as Enjua finished speaking, he led his subordinates and left through the portal. Seeing Nkue leave, Yu looked at Tao and waited for his decision. Umph. Sensing Yu's gaze, Tao snorted coldly and sat down cross-legged. Then, Tao began to cultivate and recover from his injuries. Obviously, he didn't intend to leave and decided to continue wasting time with Yu. Tao chose to stay. Although Yu was a little unhappy, he didn't force him to leave. Although Tao and the others were injured, they hadn't lost much of their strength. It wouldn't be easy for him to chase them away. Immediately, Yu and Tao's forces squatted outside the teleportation portal. Within the teleportation channel, As soon as Kong Xianyue entered the transfer channel, her beautiful face tensed up as she carefully walked towards the front of the channel. When she entered the portal just now, she found that Mo Qingyun didn't follow her, so she left. At this moment, although Mo Qingyun still didn't follow her, she felt that Mo Qingyun should have come in. Therefore, she decided to explore the portal and see what was going on inside. As she went deeper into the portal, Kong Xianyue clearly felt a sense of familiarity. From this, it could be seen that the portal was connected to the profound Heaven Sacred Clan. The portal wasn't very long. Kong Xianyue didn't walk very far before she reached the end of the portal. Coming out of the portal, she came to a small world. She saw a world of birds and fragrant flowers. This place was an extreme contrast to the ruins of the supreme divinity of the Ghoul sect. The ruins of the supreme divinity of the Ghoul sect were gloomy, cold, and dark. This place was a paradise. At this moment, as Kong Xianyue was looking around, a figure flashed beside her. Sensing the movement beside her, Kong Xianyue's face trembled. She immediately put up a vigilant posture. However, when she saw that it was Mo Qingyun, she quickly relaxed. While Kong Xianyue's heart was relaxed, her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Mo Qingyun really followed her in. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Kong Xianyue's surprise at all. He looked around. The space of this small world wasn't big. Mo Qingyun could see everything with a glance. No one has been here before. There should be some treasures left behind. After looking around the small world, Mo Qingyun didn't stop. He was ready to search this place. As they went deeper into the small world, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue came to a garden. They saw all kinds of rare divine herbs and spiritual herbs. These herbs are basically trillions of years old. We made a big profit this time. Looking at the medicinal herbs in the medicine shop, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock, and his heart was filled with pleasant surprise. Immediately, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything and directly moved the medicine shop. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Kong Xianyue didn't say anything. She silently watched from the side. After a while, under Kong Xianyue's gaze, Mo Qingyun moved the medicine shop away. After moving the medicine shop away, Mo Qingyun didn't stop and continued to walk forward. Behind the medicine shop, there was a huge river. The lake water was clear, and there were many fishes swimming in it. The aura of these fishes wasn't weak. Basically, they were at the Heaven General realm. Some of the stronger ones were at the Heaven God realm. Upstream of the river, there was a huge waterfall. It was like a screen hanging down from the ninth heaven. Not far away, there was a huge mansion. There were pavilions and pavilions inside. It was elegant and quiet. That should be the residence of the 1,000 Illusion Divine Sovereign. After instructing Kong Xianyue, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and flew towards the mansion. After a while, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue arrived in front of the mansion. They looked at the mansion curiously. There were some formations set up outside the mansion. The grade of the formation wasn't high. It didn't look like it was used for defense. It was just a symbolic isolation. After taking a look outside the mansion, Mo Qingyun's footsteps didn't stop as he directly walked in. The mansion's array formation only obstructed him for a moment before Mo Qingyun passed through. After passing through the array formation and entering the interior of the mansion, Mo Qingyun saw a huge statue. It was the statue of a beautiful woman. However, when Mo Qingyun saw the woman's appearance, he was stunned. The woman's appearance was exactly the same as Qian Linglong. Linglong, after seeing the face of the statue, Mo Qingyun wasn't the only one who was shocked. Kong Xianyue also exclaimed. Obviously, she didn't expect this to happen. End of chapter. Chapter 3272. Thousand illusions. Could it be? Looking at the statue in front of him, Mo Qingyun thought of many things and suddenly realized an important point. Could the 1,000 illusions of the wild continent have been formed by Hierarch 1,000 illusions? Is there a connection between Hierarch 1,000 illusions and Linglong? Mo Qingyun's footsteps didn't stop as he continued to walk deeper into the mansion with a strong sense of confusion. Seeing Mo Qingyun walking forward, Kong Xianyue was also surprised and puzzled. She quickly followed behind Mo Qingyun. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would not have believed that Hierarch Thousand Illusions was related to Ling Long. The mansion was still empty. Other than some flowers and plants, there was nothing else. As Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue were walking forward, an ordinary willow tree suddenly emitted a terrifying aura. Be careful. Sensing the aura of the willow tree, Kong Xianyue's face trembled. She quickly warned Mo Qingyun. At the same time, she moved and appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly shocked. He immediately summoned ghost god Yang Wulong. However, as soon as Yang Wulong appeared, a terrifying aura erupted from the mansion. When this aura erupted, Mo Qingyun and Kong Xianyue's hearts trembled. Cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. This aura was too strong. It had already surpassed the level of an emperor god. This is Hierarch Thousand Illusions aura. Sensing the powerful aura, Mo Qingyun immediately guessed the source of this aura. Knowing that this aura came from Hierarch Thousand Illusions, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately recalled Yang Wulong. He vaguely felt that the reason for Hierarch Thousand Illusions aura was because he had summoned Yang Wulong. As expected, just as Mo Qingyun had guessed, he put away the ghost god Yang Wulong, and that terrifying aura began to weaken. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun felt a lingering fear in his heart. He was slightly relieved. A peerless ultimate god expert's aura was not something he could contend with. Fortunately, that terrifying aura wasn't directed at him at all. That aura just now seemed to belong to the Thousand Illusion Divine Sovereign. Could it be that she's still alive? As the aura slowly dissipated, the pressure on Kong Xianyue was greatly reduced. She asked curiously. Mo Qingyun didn't reply to Kong Xianyue's question. He shook his head and said he should have died. That chi fluctuation might have come from his obsession. Hearing Mo Qingyun's reply, Kong Xianyue felt a burst of sadness, and a lonely expression appeared on her face. Seeing Kong Xianyue's reaction, Mo Qingyun did not comfort her and continued to walk into the mansion. Not long after, Mo Qingyun and the young man arrived in front of a courtyard, where they saw an imposing black figure. This was a middle-aged man in black. Chapter 3274. 2 days later, Mo Qingyun's aura had reached a new level. His cultivation base had broken through. Mo Qingyun's cultivation base had broken through, and the Gate of Fortune had given birth to a new sacred art. Sensing the movement of the Gate of Fortune, Mo Qingyun began to focus on observing it. Then, a new light gate was born inside the Gate of Fortune. Teleportation Gate. Mo Qingyun recognized the new door of light as soon as it appeared. A faint smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face when he saw that his divine ability, the teleportation gate, had been restored. He thought to himself, now that the teleportation gate has been restored, it will be much easier for me to travel and shake off others. After a simple observation of the teleportation gate, Mo Qingyun continued to cultivate, stabilizing his cultivation base. After cultivating for another 5 days, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating. His cultivation base had been completely stabilized. With my current strength, even if I don't use any trump cards, I can still crush ordinary heavenly gods. Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating. He made a rough estimation of his strength. At this moment, he could clearly feel that his strength had undergone a qualitative change. After sensing his strength, Mo Qingyun looked at Kong Xianyue and observed her situation. After observing Kong Xuanyue's situation, Imo Qingyun's eyes flashed with surprise and said, "This girl's cultivation base is actually so stable. Looking at her current situation, once her cultivation base breaks through to the Divine King realm, her combat strength will probably surpass those of the same realm." While Imo Qingyun was surprised, Kong Xuanyue's aura began to rise rapidly. In the blink of an eye, Kong Xuanyue's aura had reached the Divine King realm. Kong Xuanyue's cultivation base had broken through, but she did not stop cultivating immediately. Instead, she continued to stabilize her cultivation base. While Kong Xuanyue was stabilizing her cultivation base, Imo Qingyun was not idle either. He was cultivating his sacred art to increase his strength. A few days passed by quickly. After a few days of cultivation, Kong Xuanyue had barely stabilized her cultivation base. Kong Xuanyue stabilized her cultivation and stopped cultivating. She slowly opened her beautiful eyes. "You've broken through too." Sensing Imo Qingyun's aura, Kong Xuanyue's pretty face twitched, and her eyes flashed with surprise. In response to Kong Xuanyue's surprise, Imo Qingyun calmly nodded his head and said, "Since you have broken through, let's leave this place." It had been close to half a month since they entered Divine Thousand Illusions' sovereign small world. In addition, they had already taken all the treasures in this small world. It was indeed time to leave. "Yes." Hearing Imo Qingyun's suggestion, Kong Xuanyue nodded her head and said, "It has already been half a month since you came out.